Here. Now can you hear us? Hello. Can anybody hear me? Remember Titanic? After the ship goes down.
I remember Titanic. I don't remember.
You remember it?
I remember
the event.
She blows the whistle?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Are you giving this to me?
I'm giving that to Ryan.
Oh, thanks.
Can you guys? You can hear? Okay. We're doing a little thing here, a little early pre-show. Are we running out of ink? I know we can't print color anymore because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
But now we can't print an actual black. It's more of a
and I can't
gradient
print most of the time
gray.
anyway.
Gray scale.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Ryan.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Brad's standing by over here. Are you trying to be on, or are you just like supervising?
I'm supervising.
Okay. As long as you got the show ready to go, you can do whatever you want. We have some things here, and I thought we would open them. I talked about doing an unboxing. Can you turn the actual radio down just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about doing an actual unboxing before Christmas, and we got some stuff, but not really ever in a position to do this unboxing show. So we're going to unbox these things together. And if you ever would like to send something to the station, send it to the Annie Frey Show. If we can promote your small business or a cause or something like that, assuming it isn't offensive or doesn't conflict with my paid sponsors, I'm not even going to make any bones about that. That's just how it is. Please, please, please send us some stuff, and we will use this time to promote your small business, your cause, your effort, whatever it might be. So, a little post-Christmas. You said you got one of these?
I got one.
So he knows what this is. This is how you can contact us right there. Is it fun to open packages?
It is, except that I know what this one is.
Yeah.
And I want to say, now she just held up the front of that one. Mine, same package, is why I knew what it was, because it's the same exact package. It said, for the first time ever, I may keep the package for the rest of my life. No. It said, to the Ryan Wiggins team. And I said, that's fantastic.
Who did you share that experience with?
No, it's just sitting on my desk. I was waiting for you were the first. You're the first.
We are the Ryan Wiggins team.
Yes.
Make sure you comment and say hi, that you're listening, and let us know that you can hear us and see us, everything. This says Christian Survival Guide from a Worship Drummer's Perspective. That's interesting.
Yep. Can I pull the book out?
Yes. Jewish rocker turned Christian drummer addresses elephant in the room of the church. This honest new book from recognized Christian drummer Lawrence Mintz is about surviving and growing in our difficult culture today, not just in current society, but also within church culture.
So I have this book also.
So since you already got it, did you or anybody on the Wiggins team read it?
I have not. Well, I've perused it. I've read it came with the press release. I read a lot of that. Was finding out about the story. There's a lot of these little survival skill little boxes in here. So I kind of went through and just read those to see what the chapters were about. And also, I do. I feel like I could be a professional drummer now, also. Which is not
we're gonna showcase that at 2:10 p.m. Ryan just also found that out, but his team has been working on it.
That's right. And I will say thank you for this, because nobody ever writes to me, first of all.
Or Wiggins team.
Or the Wiggins team. So I'm keeping that. And Stel Ponticus, who I share an office with, apparently is good friends with
the guy?
Lawrence
Mintz. LawrenceMintz.com.
Thank you.
Or at author Lawrence Mintz on Facebook and Instagram. So just got it. Don't know anything about it. Can't endorse it, but you can check it out too. All right, here's another one. This is a book. We get a lot of books. This is one I'm excited about. So this is Our Broken Elections. How the Left Changed the Way You Vote. Sounds like something you'd be interested in.
What was it?
Our Broken Elections.
Yes.
How the Left Changed the Way You Vote, by John Fund and one Hans von Spakovsky.
Oh, I know him.
That is super awesome. And I might actually go through and read this one, because I'm not a book reader.
I appreciate what Heritage has been doing. They were doing this pre-2020. They have been looking at our election systems for quite a while and determining what's good, what's bad, what needs to be fixed. They just put out a report on which states are best, to which states are not doing well. And guess what? Red states are doing a lot better as far as election security goes, but it wasn't exclusive. And I found that very, very interesting. I appreciate what Heritage is doing.
So it says on the inside, behind the deeply contentious 2020 election stands a real story of a broken election process. Hans von Spakovsky, our friend, connection with the Heritage Foundation, sent us this book, and I am probably going to take a gander at this, maybe on a plane that I might be on coming soon. All right, here's one that I'm kind of excited about, and I know we all are. I got this.
It's another Gracie.
In a piece, shut up. In a piece of paper from Hearst Media.
It is an award. I was right.
No. Well, yeah, sort of.
Well, it's by this award.
Best of the Best, the Alton Telegraph, Edwardsville Intelligencer, and Hearst Media, Midwest Media Group. I did not know we were in the running for something until it was almost over. But we didn't win. But we are in the top 3 of the best of the best.
So we didn't have to campaign.
We didn't even campaign, and we got in the top 3, you guys.
And
you
there is
guys.
nothing like not being the best, but being close, being one of the best.
If you don't hang that on the wall behind you,
Can you wear this today?
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
From the team.
I wear this every
So
day.
Maybe next year in 2022
It's
we
a
will
clean. I can
know.
wear it.
Hey, how much longer do we have until
We
we're on
have-
the air?
Oh my gosh. We got like 2 minutes.
Maybe we will win next time, and maybe we'll campaign. I think I have this box too. I'm going to say, I'm going to save this one because we do have to go on air, and I know.
Are you sure?
I
I've got a knife.
I know, but I don't want to have
I've
to
got
go
a knife.
rush through it
Yeah,
because
I know. We're really close. And you have a live, not in this break. Brad just moved it for you because he's good.
That's what good producers do.
That's
I
right.
asked you. Did I ask? Did you
Yeah,
tell me?
and then I printed it. I was like, you do.
Oh, I didn't have my
I
sheet.
moved
That's
it to
fine.
the
Yes.
next one. It's fine.
So I have another one here, and I'm just going to give you, I don't know what's in the box, but I'm going to give this plug. It's from Water Sweets Soap Company out of Highland, Illinois. I know Water Sweets has an Edwardsville store as well, and I've been there, I've shopped it, I've bought stuff there, and it is amazing. So, oh, yes, look at,
Oh, I
did
didn't
you do
even hear
that? Or,
No.
Hannah's doing that?
Hannah's doing it.
Hannah's on the game. Yes, I love it. So this is from Water Sweet Soap Company, an amazing store, amazing boutique store, local. I don't know what's in here, but I do want you to check out Water Sweets. We will do a second edition. And if you want to send stuff to us, you can send it to the Odyssey station in St. Louis, care of the Annie Frey Show, and we will promote your stuff for the show. All right, now I have to do a radio show. And since I've spent this time doing this, I don't really know what's going to happen at the start of the show. You
We're
probably
going
know.
on in about 60 seconds.
You want to stay in here?
Sure. That's fine.
This is what I call using a crutch. Thanks, Ryan. I call my crutch Ryan Wiggins. Okay.
Can I have one of those show sheets back?
You don't have your own show sheet?
No, I moved. Well, I did,
go.
but I gave it to you, Sarah.
All right. I'm turning this microphone on. I'm turning the radio
From
on.
anywhere where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. The place for ideas. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by the Loading Dock, with a unique and beautiful ice skating rink to enjoy this time of year. Go to GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they run my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Happy Wednesday. Glad that you were here. Today is the day that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, did you know this, Ryan? Ryan Wiggins in here to start the show off.
Hey.
He's just so helpful. Did you know that he's going to give a press conference today?
No, I didn't know that.
This afternoon.
I haven't seen that anywhere.
Merrick Garland is supposed to give a press conference. Do you have the description, Brad?
I don't. I can expand this window a little bit.
Yeah, I can go back to it. It says from the Justice Department, watch today, Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. They are using initials.
Ooh.
So you know they mean business.
B for big deal.
Merrick Big Deal Garland to deliver remarks regarding the first anniversary of the attack on the Capitol. What do you expect, Ryan, today, since you didn't know that this was happening at all? But what would Merrick Garland come out today and say regarding the anniversary of January 6th?
Okay, prediction.
Mhm.
He's not going to say anything that we haven't heard for the last year.
Which
it's going to
is?
be the exact same talking points, which is insurrection, attack on democracy, must stop all Republicans or anyone who disagrees with me at this moment, and so on and so forth. The point of the press conference is not going to be those talking points because those haven't changed. The point of the press conference will be to keep it big. The point is to make it a big deal. This is so every CNN, MSNBC, whoever can carry it and use it for another 2 weeks to talk about, well, the Attorney General of the United States is coming out and said blah, 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 blah. Same thing they've been saying the whole time. But it's just to carry the news cycle. That's my prediction.
So the word insurrection is repeatedly used. You can determine how somebody votes by whether they use the word insurrection or not. I have to study what words I should and should not say so that I don't accidentally say a word that implies to some people that I am for something that if you listen to the body of work and the context of what I do on a daily basis, you pretty much know where I am. But insurrection is also something you can be charged with.
It sure is.
It's not just a word to describe an event. It's actually something you can be charged with. Here's the Politico article from yesterday. The storming of the Capitol on January 6th has been announced by the White House, the FBI, and the Justice Department as an act of domestic terrorism. But 1 year after the insurrection, prosecutors have yet to ask judges to impose the harsher sentences federal law recommends for defendants motivated by politics. Instead, even as some judges have publicly debated whether the charges against January 6 defendants qualify as, quote, crimes of terrorism, and, quote, prosecutors have repeatedly pulled back on tougher sentences, citing unspecified, quote, facts and circumstances. It's funny how they're not identifying the facts and circumstances, but they're saying there are facts and circumstances involved here that, in my judgment, as a judge, going to pull back on some of these harsher sentences. From Politico, the so-called sentencing enhancement for terrorism crimes was created as a result of legislation Congress passed following the 1993 bombing of a parking garage in the World Trade Center. The provision initially applied only to crimes linked to international terrorism, but after the bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building in 1995, Congress moved to expand the enhancement to cover terrorism inspired purely by domestic causes. They haven't charged anybody with insurrection. It's kind of one of those playful words that people can use. What does the left always call it? Everything that Donald Trump says is a racist dog whistle. When Trump opens his mouth, he calls the dogs. The funny thing is that the liberals are the only ones who come running.
That's true.
You laugh because it's so true.
It's true.
You don't know that you are a racist if you support Trump until Trump says something, and everybody on the left goes, "Oh, it's a racism thing again." And you're like, well, I don't really dislike people who are not like me. And I have this feeling about this policy. I don't really think that this is racism, but now you've got me kind of scared and I'm not going to speak up and speak out on this issue. So you stay quiet because the capital R word racism. It's interesting to me that if one were to talk about the president, the whole thing that led up to the January 6th event. Remember, January 6th, the date of January 6th is important because the certification of the election was happening. That's why it took place. Have you read the Sean Hannity texts? The latest ones?
No, I've seen some, but apparently not this round.
He's hit some of the text messages, and I'll get to them later, possibly. Some of the text messages he's sending, I think they're to Jim Jordan. And he's basically saying, President Trump needs to never talk about this election again. And he needs to, I think the phrase he uses is he needs to land the plane. They have a path to land the plane safely on January 19th, which the indication that I get from the text messages is that Sean Hannity is saying, he also says that Sean Hannity doesn't believe that the advice that President Trump was getting about the January 6th event. And the January 6th event, I will remind you, was the certification of the election. Now everybody thinks of it as the insurrection. The event of January 6th, anybody who's reading those text messages and going, he knew what was going to happen. No, the event of January 6th was President Trump's understanding that there was something that Mike Pence could go in and constitutionally do to stop the certification of the election. We had Hans von Spakovsky on this show before that happened, and Hans said this is not doable. We had experts on the show who said this is not constitutionally feasible and really pushed us away from thinking that what people who really didn't want to allow Joe Biden to become the president, the last possibility was that Mike Pence would step in and stop this. And I had constitutional experts on the show because, listen, I didn't want Joe Biden to be the president, but there is an election. And if we weren't smart enough to pay attention to what was going on in the election when it was happening, at that point, you only had so many options. Is stopping the certification on January 6th one of them? The constitutional experts that I had on my show and still have on my show said, no, it's not. Sean Hannity's text to Jim Jordan said, the president is getting bad info. He's being misguided. And he says, I've told him every way that I can, and I don't know if he's understanding. He needs to never mention the election again. This is what's been uncovered in these text messages. And everybody is looking at it as an opportunity to dunk on Sean Hannity. And I'm like, he's saying if you're on the other side of this, Sean Hannity is saying what you would have wanted him to say at that time. I don't think it's an opportunity to dunk on him.
Initial reaction to the Hannity thing, and really the whole anybody, because it was a lot of Fox News people who had been texting either the president or people close to the president that day. Why is the press telling the president this is what you should do? I don't get that. I don't like it. I get that a lot of these people aren't reporters; they're opinion.
I was going to say you have to.
So there's a difference there.
I would use the. I guess he's press. I guess I've gotten press passes.
I don't know. I don't like the role of the press becoming an advisor to the president. I don't like it, and you can disagree with me if you want, but I don't like that. And then B. I didn't think that Pence would do what people were saying that he could do that day. And I was right. He didn't do it. But I would have liked to seen what would have happened if he did. Because those people who are saying constitutionally you can't do this, fine. But then what happens if he does? That's kind of where we're at with a lot of these things, is that we're talking about things that are that have never been done before. So let's say if it's Kamala Harris in 2024 and it's the reverse, what happens if Kamala Harris gets up there and does that? It's still a sort of theoretical question to me that I'd like to see answered.
I think I was at the point that I didn't believe that any further walk down that road was going to be good for the country. And I was pretty confident I knew what we were going to get in Joe Biden. It's pretty much what we've gotten. There's no indication through the campaign that Joe Biden was really the guy who was behind the wheel. And if he's being pushed if it's president by committee where he's the mouthpiece and you're going to have different people weighing in on these from different backgrounds, these decisions, which, let's not pretend that every president isn't constantly being advised by that's the whole point. The idea of being the president is that you are in a position where you can use a gift of wisdom that some people have and some people don't to listen to people who really know what they're talking about and make the most wise decisions based on the intellectual people around you on any particular issue. Not that you're the smartest guy in the room with all the answers. If you think you're that, you are not. His text to Jim Jordan was, I do, all capitals, not see January 6th happening the way he is being told. Guys, we have a clear path to land the plane in 9 days. He can't mention the election again, period, ever, period. I did not have a good call with him today, is another message that he had said. Brian Stelter's all over these things. I think it's important to know that this stuff is going on because I think it's important context, especially when you hear because the people who are going to be talking about this, like you said, nonstop, Merrick Garland coming out today and speaking on this issue in whatever capacity he's speaking on this issue, it's important to understand the full context of the information. I think I've been pretty consistent on where I stand on how I feel about the election of 2020 and how I think that I myself behave as somebody who absolutely does not like the way President Biden is taking this country and has questions about how loose we were with our opening of regulations going into the 2020 election. You're certainly somebody who has been on record many, many times to talk about how you feel about it, more so than I have.
Yeah, I just like following the saga of
Did you see
evidence.
John Solomon's report?
No, please. Now I got to look this up.
John Solomon last night on Sean Hannity interviewed the Attorney General of Georgia.
Oh yeah,
who has opened cases into actual questions about what took place. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm waiting for the facts. I will report to you the facts of that as they happen. The speculations, we've speculated all we can. We've seen videos, we've seen what we've seen. Here's the thing. Remember this as we go into January 6th. We are a country that was broken in half leading into the day that was to certify an election that people factually, I'm saying it is a fact to say that people were hurt by the results of the election. And like I said yesterday, Ryan, in 2016, how many videos and compilations do we have made by people on the right of leftists just bawling and crying because Hillary lost? Those people were hurt. It's sad. And it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to look at what happened and ask, how do we make sure that doesn't happen next time? That happens every election cycle. Did Hillary Clinton say that the results weren't fair?
Yes, many times. The View continues to do so.
How do you know?
I saw a report. I wasn't watching The View, I promise.
He watches it every day. I just want to keep the context of what's going to take place. And I want to talk to you guys more about this in the 2:00 hour. But make sure that as we go into tomorrow, we're going to acknowledge that it happened. It's hard not to, but we're going to do it with an air of common sense. And, Ryan, I'm sure you'll have a lot to talk about that later. Thanks for joining me in the pre-show, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first segment.
It's a good opportunity for people to subscribe to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. You got a little extra at the beginning of the show and probably notified when we went live. We're going to take a quick break. Dr. Scott Hardiman is with us when we come back, and we're going to talk about some of these COVID things. Do you want to stick around for him too?
Possibly. Let me see if I can.
You don't have other work to do.
Check with my boss.
The team?
Yeah, the team.
The Wiggins team?
Check with my public. See if my public can meet up with your public.
All right. If you know, you know. We'll be back with Dr. Scott Hardiman in a minute.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. History looks back on times like this. Where do you stand? 97.1 FM Talk is here to spotlight what would otherwise be left in the dark. Right here, right now. 97.1 FM Talk.
So Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage, this guy knows his stuff. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world. Did you know that the Federal Reserve is meeting in March? They're going to raise rates, folks. I am confident that they're going to do that. Stewie thinks they're going to raise rates in March. They're going up right now. Your mortgage rates are not yours if you have them locked in. And if you've already done the bagel loan with Stewie, because you're smart, you need to make sure that you are on this right now. If you've thought about it in the past, or if you think what I talk about here sounds fishy, that you can do a mortgage refinance without all of the fees that every other lender out there is going to do to put on you, kind of makes it cost prohibitive to go refinance a mortgage and get, pay maybe thousands of dollars in fees to make it possible to save money long term. If it doesn't come out in the wash, then there's no reason to do it. The bagel loan has no fees. You can get in on a low interest rate right now, the lowest interest rates that they have, still possibly in the 2s for 15-year mortgages. Like I said, they're kind of going up. You can get in on a bagel loan refi right now, take cash out, Well, the value of the dollar is not doing so great. Take cash out of your house right now. Do improvements on your home. Get rid of that high interest debt with the bagel loan with Stewie. It's a smart financial move, and he can help you make it customized to be your best smart financial move. Call him or text him at 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, and MLS number 226-715.
Home warranty. I know, right? Buying coverage for appliances, your heater and AC, etc., from a company that hopes you never ever have a claim or call. Let me introduce you to a real home warranty company, the kind that actually wants to help you. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. Upkeep visit your home 4 times a year to maintain your appliances and equipment. You will never get a lack of maintenance denial because Upkeep does the maintenance. Also nice, Upkeep assigns you one point person to help you. You won't be passed around like an office hot potato, and you won't get subcontractors. Upkeep does all their work, so there's no blame game. Just experts helping you. Visit upkeepstl.com today and type in 971 for $100 off. Don't be denied. Instead, be relieved. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance, 636-387-7331.
Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep. Keep up your home with Upkeep, then you'll have a happy home.
Let's start off the new year with a new coat of paint. It's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, and let's make 2022 the year you transform your home with some new colors and expert professional painting. CertaPro can make it happen, and the quality of the work will blow you away. One of my favorite parts of hiring CertaPro is I don't have to do the work myself. These are professional painters, and they can help you bring your vision of color to life. Schedule your free estimate today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters.
5-minute cash offer on your house. Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com. 314-946-9999. Local and family owned. We're going to buy your property direct in as-is condition. And we just rolled out the instant cash offer where you'll get an offer on your house in 5 minutes or less when you reach out to us. Find us online at ClaymanGroup.com for an instant cash offer now. KLAMEN Group.com. 946-9999. 314-946 all nines.
We're all in the same boat, fishing in the same hole, wonder where the same time goes. We're all in the same boat.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Peacefully agree to disagree. You can't judge a man until you walk a country mile.
People are sick of all of it. They're sick of all of it. And we need to stop the nonsense, stop this damage to public health credibility, and move on. Because this had a case fatality rate of about 0.2%. When the next pandemic comes and that it has an infection fatality rate of 5%, we better be in a better position.
That's one of the doctors, Dark Macquarie, that has been spot on and consistent throughout the course of this pandemic, speaking on what people should do and what the media is discussing and so on and so forth. So we like to hear what he has to say. And people are very, very tired of listening to people who are, speaking on the behalf of the government. And this spans from previous administration into this one, and getting mixed signals and mixed information and not being really trusted to make their own health decisions. Well, we've had one go-to on this issue on our show specifically for quite some time, and that is Dr. Scott Hardiman with Urgent Specialist. He's an ENT, and he is with us right now. Doctor, thank you so much for making time. I know we were texting back and forth, and I'm grateful you squeezed us in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks. It's nice to chat with you again. It's kind of an appropriate segue music there. We're all in the same boat. It seems like this pandemic now is really it's ready to get everybody right now, it seems.
So, we hear about how fast the current variant is spreading. Lots of people are getting it. It seems as though vaccinated people potentially are getting it at a higher rate than unvaccinated people, but that's what I hear. I don't know what the truth is. What's your assessment of the current situation of this pandemic?
Well, we can kind of look at that as the way it took place in the UK and also in Israel as these different variants have gone through. When more and more portion or percentage of your population is vaccinated, and then you have breakthrough cases, it's going to certainly give the appearance statistically that it's really happening to a large degree in the vaccinated individuals. I would just tell you from experience and what we're seeing in my office and just in clinical practice is that it's spreading in both groups of people. Certainly, the vaccinated individuals, they tend to do much better from the perspective of serious health consequences, and the hospitalizations are still, sort of tilted towards the unvaccinated having worse outcomes. What we're seeing, but it's transmissible in the vaccinated, probably equally to the same degree as in unvaccinated individuals, and it's going to move through society. I'm kind of the firm belief that there's only two groups of people, as I said a few weeks ago, those that have had COVID and those that are still going to get it. But hopefully, being very transmissible and a little less virulent appears to be, that this may be the last gasp. We'll keep our fingers crossed that we'll get through the next 4 to 6 weeks and what experienced in South Africa, where it just plummeted rapidly without a dramatic increase in mortality and hospitalizations, that we'll see here as well.
Dr. Hardiman, this is Ryan Wiggins from the Annie Frey Show and also from Wiggins America. So I haven't talked to you in a little bit. Just wanted to reintroduce
I think people
myself.
listening know that you're from the show that you're talking on right now.
I'm going to ask you this because everybody's talking about Omicron. Are they tracking whether original coronavirus is still some of these cases Delta? Are they all Omicron? Do we know the difference? Does testing know?
Well, testing generally doesn't know, and this is done through surveillance a number of different ways, through random screenings, through the health department tests where they're doing genomic sequencing of them, also through wastewater sequencing and culturing the virus as well. The past 10 days, there's been, first it was 60% of the circulating cases are Omicron, then, we overestimated, it's only 15 or 18% where the number was. Now today, the numbers are saying 95% of circulating infections are Omicron. I think it's just given what I'm seeing just through, friends, colleagues, and knowing people that have had this, it's very transmissible. This fits the mold for Omicron, which is very transmissible. People are not getting overly ill with this to a large degree of the community. Obviously, older individuals, and just like before, those that have other health issues, we have to be cognizant of that, and folks who have perhaps not been able to mount much of an immune response in the past. But it appears that this is likely the vast majority of cases are going to be Omicron now.
Dr. Hardiman, I have a question. When it comes to, we hear these reports, a lot of news reports out there about, this many people, the hospitals are this full and this percentage are unvaccinated. So usually those headlines are written in a way to encourage people to become vaccinated. Yep. What is unvaccinated? If you were vaccinated when it first came out in maybe January of 2020 or whenever the first access was to get these shots, if you were fully vaccinated at the beginning of January of 2020, haven't been boosted, it's been over a year since you got your shots, you still considered fully vaccinated?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, the headline just popped today that they're considering maybe making kind of a nomenclature change, saying up-to-date vaccines versus fully vaccinated. So, I think they're still considering those fully vaccinated that have been through the primary sequence of shots, whenever that was. With the Pfizer vaccine, they're saying, boosters could be given anytime 5 months or later, or around 5 months and on. For Moderna, 6 months. For J&J, a couple of months after the initial sequence. But still fully vaccinated remains that group of individuals that have gone through the 2-shot sequence for Pfizer, Moderna, and the single-shot sequence for the J&J vaccine at this point.
So if you're in the hospital and you've got, I guess, there's no natural immunity that would be factored into that either. If people are unvaccinated, but they have natural immunity, then they likely wouldn't be in the hospital for COVID. Right?
Yeah, I think where you're going with that, and I would agree, is that we've talked a lot on this show about the natural immunity and the role that plays, and I think in the end will be the thing that likely gets us through this as the infection moves through society and gives us some really robust response. It's kind of funny to see now, all the talking heads kind of pivot now, talking about, well, we'll get there once everybody kind of gets this, and stuff we've been talking about all along with that. The data is not necessarily tracked exactly this way in all the hospitals, but the ones that I see, I actually specifically requested that they put on there a list of the people that have been admitted to the hospital that were had prior COVID infection. So I'm assuming that's being tracked appropriately. At least in the data that I'm seeing, about, we'll say roughly on average, 2/3 of the people admitted to the hospital are unvaccinated, and 1/3 of them are vaccinated. It is way skewed more in the real serious illness in the intensive care unit, more to the unvaccinated having worse outcomes with that. But to be honest, those that have had prior COVID infection, regardless of their vaccination status, the numbers have been pretty low. People admitted to the hospital, like exceedingly low. So it really, I think, speaks to the fact that while secondary infections can happen, that initial infection, if you are a healthy individual otherwise, it does give you a good, robust immune response. And like we've talked about, that's a pretty hard public health policy, right? To just say, well, let's let those initial waves of Delta, where it was much more aggressive as far as virulent stage, run through society. That's going to commit a lot of people to a bad outcome for sure. But we're kind of past that so much. The population has been vaccinated. That will help protect them from severity of illness. And then the good news is that it appears very strongly that natural immunity does play a significant factor in breaking this cycle too.
Dr. Hardiman, treading on ground that we have tread many times before, but of all the people to bring it back up, Dr. Fauci did, talking about the difference between being hospitalized or dying from COVID or with COVID. Is that something that medically in the medical world is talked about? Is it kind of hush hush? Where do we stand with that?
Well, he brought that up, was it a week or 10 days or so ago, related to admissions with pediatric patients in the hospital. I was a little stunned, to be honest, that he made that distinction, because we, like you said, we've kind of talked about this. I think at the hospital level, if you come into the hospital, there's two sort of scenarios. If you come into the hospital where you're having some routine thing, as he says, you've fallen and broken your leg and they test you for COVID and you're positive, but you're there for another reason and they're just going to put you someplace to monitor for potential transmission to other people. That's a totally different story than someone who comes into the hospital who has respiratory illness or end organ failure, or their diabetes is out of control or something else as a result of that primary infection, like that. In the hospital world, not a lot of distinction is made there. They're counted as just numbers of hospitalized COVID patients when that happens. And he made the point, I believe, on TV, saying that while, you read some of the headlines out there, says, oh, there's a dramatic, a 50-60% increase in pediatric admissions to the hospital with COVID. And he dissected that and said, well, let's be honest, it's really not that aggressive in kids. And it's not that these kids are not going to the hospital across the board at that high rate for COVID. It's other things that are coming up. I mean, they're screening everyone, I think, practically that comes through the door now with anything that's respiratory related for this. And if they're coming in for another reason, they're still going to get chalked up as COVID cases. But, you say that, you don't want to discount, obviously, the significant impact this is having on people's health, obviously.
So, Dr. Hardiman, we've got kids, and we are seeing yesterday the president advocated for parents to do the right thing and to get their kids vaccinated. I'm a big believer, and I know it's best for my kids, and I am willing to listen to anybody's advice and suggestion of somebody who has, more intelligence in any particular area about any particular thing, and take that into account. You're a medical expert. This virus is rampant right now. We see more kids contracting this variant. What things should parents consider when thinking about getting their kids the vaccine?
Well, I think, the vaccine obviously is indicated down at a pretty young age right now, and now they're changing booster guidelines as well into that sort of adolescent age range. With where we are today versus when it was first authorized in kids, I think that the more people you see, more individuals, in this case kids, getting vaccinated, you start to feel from a comfort perspective, we're not seeing a lot of potential adverse events and other things happening. This isn't a unique one, because I think there's very strong opinions about this. And I think when you go from the adult population to kids, and parents are now weighing in on what's the pro and con, what's the risk benefit analysis of the impact of the virus on my child's health versus the potential ramification of a vaccine, both short term and long term when that happens. I think the short term stuff is, we're with more people getting vaccinated, I think the safety profile is very good in kids, but you can't discount the fact that the illness itself generally is not particularly aggressive in kids. There's no 100% guarantee that it won't be. Obviously, there's no way to necessarily predict that, but it certainly seems as if the illness is not causing significant impact on children at this point in time. So it's a little hard for me to answer from a parenting and from a medical perspective. It appears the vaccine is safe. Obviously, it protects people from serious illness, and that data was super strong in kids, but it's hard to know if that's because kids generally don't get a lot of illness with this. So I think parents are kind of trying to protect their kids from getting anything. In reality, I think the vaccine does not necessarily stop people from getting this. It decreases the severity of the illness at this point.
I'm glad you said it that way. Would it be advantageous, because you've advocated for the strength and the efficacy of the vaccine over the course of the time, and you've always called it what it was and explained, with the scientific numbers, what it was accomplishing when it was being used. Is it possible that it would be better served if we didn't call it a vaccine, because it's very accomplished at keeping people from suffering severe symptoms of this virus, but I think people expect to get a vaccine and then not to get the thing that
Not
they're
get sick.
vaccinated for. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's a great point. I think there's a difference there between sterilizing vaccines and trying to eradicate something from society through herd immunity. I mean, we really be interesting to go back and, this discussion has evolved so much. And we all thought, well, if we can get this vaccine, we're going to stomp this thing out. There really have not been successful attempts at stomping out these types of respiratory viral illnesses in the past. And so I think you can look at a vaccine in that regard and say, yes, we would love to get it and not get sick with it, period. In reality, I think, though, this is something that the vaccine takes on a slightly different role, whether you call it something different or not. In this case, we're trying to protect against the severity of illness, which is still the end game, I guess, in the grand scheme of things.
Dr. Hardeman, I want to sneak this question in before we run out of time with you. This is based on a question from Brian from the Annie Frey YouTube page. He's just asking about symptoms and things from Omicron. I wanted to ask, though, we're all tracking these things and the general public knows the names of these things like we never have before. Is this something that happens within the medical world that the general public just is privy to this time? Does the medical world always track this stuff and have names for everything, and this one's just different because the public's aware of it? Or is it different for the medical world too?
Well, certain illnesses, certain viral things, I mean, we know, kind of follow the sort of the three biggies out there. We follow RSV, we follow influenza, mono being kind of another respiratory type illness gets passed around in that regard. And we sort of know what the symptoms associated with that are. They're not a whole lot different year by year, strain by strain, what happens with that. This is obviously very unique. I have not been overly impressed with saying, hey, there's a new symptom with this, now it's sore throat. Well, I mean, sore throat happens with respiratory illnesses, nasal congestion, drainage, fatigue, back pain. Those are all things that we're going to see with this. So I don't think we really, I mean, in my lifetime of experience, we've not really dissected nuances of symptoms to the degree that we have this one for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Hardeman, we are grateful for your time, your expertise, and your level-headedness. Thank you so much for coming back on here. I will fully disclose to everyone that my son was just at urgent specialists. We made a 50-minute trip to go to urgent specialists, which is Dr. Hardeman's urgent care facility.
That's what you have to do to book him? You got to go all the way out there just to book Dr. Hardeman?
If only. No.
No.
He actually was very helpful to me. Yeah.
Yeah, my day job at Gateway ENT, but people can always see me there. So but the urgent care, I hope you had a good experience, and I know they definitely want to try and help people as best they can, get you plugged in to see specialists when necessary.
They do, and it was great for us. Thank you, Dr. Hardeman. Grateful to have you here. We'll have you back again soon.
Great, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Yep, bye-bye. Yeah, my son has really kept us in business in the healthcare department in the year of 2021. And granted, we knew going into 2021 that we were expecting a baby. So we got like the Cadillac insurance plan. My son in February slides off a retaining wall. And there was a whole thing, like a scary, probably 10 weeks of my life where on a CT scan, after he fell off of the retaining wall, they found something in the CT scan that was incidental. They believed it was an adenoma. So then I'm researching adenomas. And anytime you research something that ends in oma, it's very frightening. Multiple trips to Children's Hospital with surgical doctors and oncology doctors. And basically it turned out to be a hemorrhage. It was
best case scenario.
I didn't even know it was on the table.
Oh, that's great.
They said, well, like when I was talking to the surgeon, he was like, I was like asking all these questions about adenomas because I'd read all these medical studies. Really bad idea. And he's like, well, hold on a second. I'm not ready to say it's an adenoma. So they ended up measuring it over time on an ultrasound. My son had a CT scan, an MRI, multiple ultrasounds, and it shrunk. And if it's an adenoma, it wouldn't shrink. It shrank. It was a hemorrhage. I didn't even know that was a possibility. I mean, many sleepless nights, very, very scared, a lot of doctor's visits. And my son, it turned out to be hemorrhage. He's fine. So I am so grateful to all the people who helped us walk through that whole process. But my son broke his finger and playing Gaga at school. So we went to urgent specialists for that to make sure we got the right x-rays. Had a great specialist that we got connected to through there who did the surgery to fix his finger. He came home and was like, my finger hurt. And I said, put some ice on it and stop whining for 48 hours. He's like, Mom, this still kind of hurts. My husband goes, yeah, it doesn't look that great. Maybe we should. Okay, it's broken. He needs surgery. Whoops. And then he hurt his knee playing basketball. And so we were like, we need to go get this taken care of in December. before we have a reset deductible where we're on a high deductible plan. And Dr. Hardiman helped us get that done. So if you're looking for the best in urgent care, I will tell you, and he's not paying me in any way, shape, or form to say this right now. He's welcome to if you'd like to. But if you're looking for urgent care and you need access to the best and the best specialists, urgentspecialist.com. Go check it out. Quick break. When we come back, Wiggins America.
Yeah.
You want to stick around for this?
I will. I think so.
I think you'll want to. Join us on the live stream, Annie Fry YouTube channel, Annie Fry Show Facebook page, and Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Getter. If you're there, we're there, basically. And we're on the radio at 97.1 FM. Doc, you can't miss us anywhere. We'll be right back.
Y'all been kicked and knocked around.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
You ain't gonna keep
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
You can run like hell.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Thursday morning, we're going to do some explaining. My on-the-scene reports from Washington, D.C. 1 year ago Thursday, because I was there. I witnessed it with my own two eyes. Got some splaining to do.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
So I know that you have a lot of choices if you've got like a furnace issue going on right now. Lots of you probably know how well your furnace is running right now because it's cold outside. Sub-freezing temperatures. This is not the time to be playing around with hoping that you're going to eke out another year possibly of your already old and tired furnace. Also, if you're a commercial place of business and you need a reliable place you can go to get the best service for your HVAC system or even a second opinion, Air Comfort Service is the place to go. Corey Malone, who is a friend of this show and has been a wonderful supporter of 97.1 for over a decade. He's a guy you can trust. You need a good guy in the business, and he's that guy. They're going to give you options. They're going to give you different possibilities and understand that you have a budget. They have great financing opportunities for you as well. Get your furnace tune-up, maintenance, or a replacement at Air Comfort Service by calling 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. My friends at Air Comfort Service, online at aircomfortservice.com.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. I meet regularly with people who haven't filed tax returns in years. Did you know that if you have unfiled tax returns, you can be subject to jail time? That's right. The maximum penalty can be 1 year of jail. The maximum penalty can be 1 year of jail time for every year of unfiled returns. So liens, wage garnishments, and bank levies should be the least of your worries if you have unfiled returns. Instead, you should get straight with the IRS and file those returns as soon as possible. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm today and meet with me. Together, we can resolve your tax problems before it comes to a prison sentence. Don't worry about not having records or receipts. The Lance Drury Law Firm can help you find the information you need to get the returns prepared and filed. As an attorney, I am trained to put pieces of your tax puzzle together for you. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Lori Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
If you're retiring soon, join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 52 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
If it's bumper to bumper or smooth sailing, Sue Thomas has you covered with dependable traffic. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Man, I love this song.
You and me both, Annie. Let's just groove on this.
Gotta wait to the part that I've heard before.
The part where they sing?
Oh, no, I don't know that part.
No, this part. They're singing right here.
This part. Oh, yeah, it is. It's like Carrie Underwood View.
Yeah, I know.
Do they have other songs?
Oh, they've got... This was their first album. That was their big hit. Yeah, this one's kind of the one that's lasted. but they had an album that came out right after this in 1998 called the Chinese Album.
Is this a 90s band?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Feels like it.
Yeah, Royston Langdon and Anthony Langdon is his brother. They were the Space Hog Band. And Anthony liked my tweet yesterday, so thank you for playing that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I did it for you.
I know you did.
I don't remember what Wiggins is America.
Wiggins!
Oh! Wiggins! Well, let's do it.
Wiggins America, you don't remember the topic? Because it's...
Yes, I do now. It's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Did you see... It's
Major
funny.
thoughts on this.
I said in the break, like every news story you mentioned is something I've missed yesterday. And
Do you question if I'm making any of them up?
A little bit, because I wasn't unplugged. I was really into the news yesterday. I was watching all kinds of stuff and just missed whatever news stories you mentioned. But did you see the Ted Cruz stuff?
Yep.
You did? I was hoping I had one that you didn't.
No, I have strong feelings about it.
Okay, so Ted Cruz yesterday said there's a chance that Republicans will impeach President Biden if they win the House majority in this year's midterm elections. I say if in hilarious quotes. He says, though, quote, if we take the House, which I said is overwhelmingly likely, then I think we will see serious investigations of the Biden administration, unquote, on the Ted Cruz podcast called Verdict. Your thoughts on impeaching President Biden?
Don't do it for political means. Don't do it to prove a political point. If he's done something that is egregious, it can't be because he's engaged in something that is politically aligned so far away from you that you can't stand it. But if you can uncover or expose something that he's done that is a high crime or misdemeanor, and you think you've got a made case, I would consider that. But we cannot do a tit for tat impeachment every time there is a shift in congressional control opposite of the president. I am interested in 2024 fully. And if we have the red wave in 2022 and it's massive, and we waste our time trying to prove how bad Joe Biden is, why don't we let Joe Biden keep doing that? He's doing a fantastic job. That's my thoughts.
Okay, so here, Ted Cruz addressed that. He said, because the Democrats decided this is just another tool in the partisan war chest, I think there's a real risk that this turnabout will be fair play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's
saying that it could be that way, or we shouldn't?
I don't know that he's saying either way. I think he's just saying it could be possible. But he's a Senate member, so he wouldn't be a part of that impeachment anyway. It's the House. So he's just saying, I think there's a possibility that they've turned this into just a partisan thing. Now, here's his case, though, because I thought the same thing as you. I don't want to just see it to see it. I want to see impeachment be used very seriously for serious constitutional crimes, basically. His case is, quote, probably the most compelling is the utter lawlessness of President Biden's refusal to enforce the border. His decision to just defy federal immigration laws.
As a senator from Texas, that's persuadable.
And he's a constitutional expert. So listen to what he says. And allow 2 million people to come here unimpeded is direct contravention of his obligation under Article 2 of the Constitution to take care that the laws be faithfully executed.
Shockingly, Ted Cruz makes a great case.
I thought the same thing, because my line of reasoning was the exact same as yours.
If it's the right thing to do, here's the thing. Are we impeaching him for the Republican Party, or are we impeaching him for the United States of America and its people?
That's for the United States.
Is it? Would it be?
I would hope so.
Just like we have elections, just like we have Republicans and Democrats running in elections that people are, fighting to represent the American people. The media, once again, is the enemy. It is the enemy of the people, the collective media that exists. And yes, is it ironic that I say that from behind a microphone that's broadcasting on the radio? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't feel like I'm part of that. I'm calling it out. If the media it continues to retain the power to control the narrative, to hold back information that should be broadcast to the people so that the people have the truth, and continue to peddle information that is verifiably false, Russia collusion. Look what they did. They manifested an impeachment. So if we can get an impeachment that is driven by the media because they hate a political party, how naive would it be for me to believe that Ted Cruz could have a solid, rock solid case to impeach the president with every fact in the world that matters, and none of it would matter?
Well, Ted Cruz won't really be a part of it anyway. That's what's interesting, is that unless somehow the GOP takes a supermajority, or at least has 60, President Biden's not going to be removed from office. So it'll just be the House doing the impeachment.
Point?
Yeah.
But to Annie's point here, they have essentially, by impeaching Donald Trump twice on the Russia collusion thing, they've basically destroyed impeachment as a serious process in the House. There's no way. Biden would have to literally shoot somebody in the middle of the road for them to have a legitimate case.
Which we've heard Trump could get away with.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing, though, Ryan. The people that are on the other side of the aisle that will look at this and be like, this is just tit for tat. This is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It is now political. There's no way you can make an unpolitical case unless the crime is so egregious that there's no way it can be denied, because they'll just call it political. This is tit for tat, blah, 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 and nothing will happen.
Can you get a Democrat to go with the Republicans on that impeachment?
In the House, I don't know. I mean, it'll depend on what the red wave looks like. Is it so big that you've wiped out all moderate Democrats? Then no. If you have some moderate Democrats, maybe you could. But this would bring attention to something that absolutely needs it. Because even if the impeachment itself brings people's attention to it and it stops it, it's got to stop. What we're seeing on the southern border is bad in every angle, whether it be human rights, whether it be drugs, whether it be national security, anything. It's so egregious what they've done on the southern border that to bring attention to it, to me, is worth it.
Take all of the effort and all of the money, taxpayer-funded money that would be going into that endeavor, and spend your 2022 to 2024 time frame working on putting together a real actionable plan that when you are in the position to have the Oval Office, the Senate, and the House, this is what you're going to do. And find somebody. Listen, there are Democrats in Texas right now who are saying, Biden, what are you doing? Show up. You're killing us. I mean, you're literally allowing us to be killed. Border agents are being fired upon right now across the southern border. Like, we just apparently gave them permission to shoot back. What? If you've got a sidearm and you're serving in defense of this country and someone's firing upon you, seems pretty basic. I don't think impeachment is the way. I think it's political now. And honestly, here's the question. What do you get for it? Kamala Harris?
Well, that's what I said. They're not going to actually remove him from office. It would just be bringing attention to it. So is it worth it to put Biden on record as having been impeached for his offenses on the southern border? That's the question.
Yeah, I think it just gives Democrats a scapegoat to have, because I think it's indefensible. I think there are a lot of Democrats who, just like you're saying, know that this issue is indefensible. You have to do something. And how do you bring that to the forefront? You listen to Jim Carafano. He said this repeatedly on our show. It's the issue that will elect the next president, one way or the other. And if they abdicate their responsibilities on this, they'll be a failure on day one. Interesting. Let us know in the live chat on Facebook, on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Would you be up for an impeachment on those grounds? Interesting. We'll be right back with Roy Murdoch in a minute.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. The WAVE technology at Pineview Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful and instant results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
Hello, Marvin Mitchell here from Compass Retirement Solutions. Did you know that the average 3-year CD rate in the area was less than 1%? That's why we are excited to offer you several accounts that are short-term and pay better than bank rates. For example, we currently have a 3-year account paying 2.4% and a 5-year account paying 3.5% per year guaranteed. What a great place for your lazy money. You know, the money that you don't plan to use for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, terms and conditions do apply. So for more information, call 314-373-1598. Again, call 314-373-1598. This is Marvin Mitchell, and we would like to put your lazy money to work for you. Call 314-373-1598.
Guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Rates can change without notice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
A deadly fire in Philadelphia. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Officials in Philadelphia say an early morning fire has left at least 13 dead, including 7 children.
Philly Deputy Fire Commissioner Craig Murphy confirmed the home was part of the city's public housing program.
I don't have the words for how we're feeling right now as a community and as a department.
No cause is being given. Investigators are looking into it and say the home appeared to have non-working smoke detectors, but passed inspection in 2020.
Fox's Evan Brown. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says genetic tests show Omicron continues to be the dominant coronavirus strain in the country.
Omicron represents about 95% of cases in the country, and Delta represents the remaining 5% of the cases.
Dr. Walensky says COVID cases are up 98% over the past week. A Senate panel is looking into security at the U.S. Capitol building a day before the country marks a year since the building was breached by rioters.
U.S. Capitol Police Chief Thomas Manger says the department is absolutely better prepared to defend the Capitol than it was a year ago.
Few changes are as dramatic as the ones that we've made to the way we gather, analyze, share, use, and disseminate intelligence.
The chief is updating the Senate Rules and Administration Committee on upgrades to the police force.
Got new equipment on order. We're going to, it's upgraded, it's better, and we'll be deploying that as soon as it comes in.
Manger says the department is also dealing with an officer shortage, with plans to hire 280 new officers this fiscal year.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The White House says President Biden's speech tomorrow, marking the one-year anniversary of the January 6th violence at the Capitol, will lay out former President Trump's, quote, singular responsibility in the attack. America's listening to Fox News.
Why does Walgreens offer copays as low as $0 and 90-day refills? Because we care about Medicare, so you don't have to. I mean, do you really care to hear me go on about same-day prescription delivery making your life easier? Or how there's a pharmacy expert available 24/7 and one-click refills? Well, I just did anyways. Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details.
Your goals, your future, your dreams. These things are none of our business. Your credit score, your true crime obsession, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. That's really none of our business. Because your life is private. And unlike other tech companies, we think your internet should be too. Oh, is someone there? Oh, that's none of our business either. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Windy and cold this afternoon under partly sunny skies hanging around the freezing point. Tonight, cloudy skies, the evening's dry. Light snow after midnight. 15. Thursday, light snow in the morning. An inch of snow possible. A couple of isolated spots up to 2. But it's a dry snow, powdery snow, blowing all over the place with some poor visibility. And expect some slick roads Thursday morning. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Tune in for the Billikens game on 97.1 this Saturday.
Gets it to Collins, bounce pass behind, running jam time! Woo-hoo!
After a string of cancellations and postponements, the games are back. Pre-game coverage starts at 2:45 and the game is at 3.
Here comes the punt to the hole. Jam time.
Versus St. Bonaventure.
Whistle foul. Count the best.
You found it. Tune in for the Billikens game this Saturday at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk. Right here, right now.
This is Wiggins. Maybe it's been on your list of things to do for a little while, or just in the back of your head is something you want to check out. Maybe it's for you, because you've heard me say before that you could save a lot of money that's just coming out of your account every month that you're not thinking about by switching insurances. Yes, all the back end stuff. I always talk about how great Country is on the back end once you have a claim. But ultimately, on the front end, they will save you money too. Jeff Smith and Country Insurance in Glen Carbon, Illinois will do that. I just found out that since my wife's a teacher, I'm going to save about $300 a year. And I've already been with him for a long time because of his good prices. So if that's you, if you've been meaning to do it and you haven't, maybe now in this commercial break is the time to do it. He'll have you off the phone in probably 5 minutes and you can know for sure whether he's going to be better for you and Country Insurance will be better for you. I bet they will. Jeff Smith, Country Insurance. Type that into your phone right now. You can give him a call again in Glen Carbon, licensed in both Missouri and Illinois with Country Insurance. Jeff Smith, Country Insurance.
Mark Cox here, inviting you to the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event with the Retirement Advisory Group. It's January 25th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you concerned how inflation might affect the stock market and your retirement accounts? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your 401k tax-free and generate more income than most investment options? Are you worried you won't have enough income to retire comfortably and live the same lifestyle as you are now? Do you also know how to protect your nest egg from market losses and still have growth potential? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 or older, you don't want to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, along with me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, Tuesday, January 25th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Call 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans directly, and recycle old clothes by donating them. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
This is Mark Cox, inviting you to check out Odyssey's exclusive music stations like Wake Up and Rock. Hey, that sounds like a good segment for my show. Every station is at your fingertips using the Odyssey app.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by the Loading Dock, with a unique and beautiful ice skating rink to enjoy this time of year. Go to GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Bottom line is very simple. The ideologues in the Senate want to turn what the founding fathers called the cooling saucer of democracy into the rubber stamp of dictatorship. We will not let them. They want, because they can't get their way on every judge, to change the rules in midstream, to wash away 200 years of history. They want to make this country into a banana republic where if you don't get your way, you change the rules. Are we going to let them?
No.
It'll be a doomsday for democracy if we do.
So Chuck Schumer, real quick before we get to our guest, meet Chuck Schumer of late. Listen to this.
If the right to vote is the cornerstone of our democracy, then how can we Democrats permit a situation in which Republicans can pass voter suppression laws at the state level with only a simple majority vote? but not allow the United States Senate to do the same. And I ask that of my Democratic colleagues, This asymmetry cannot hold. If Senate Republicans continue to abuse the filibuster to prevent this body from acting, then the Senate must adapt.
Yeah, if you don't get what you want, change the rules. Who's your favorite Chuck Schumer? It's like Two-Face and the Batman thing. You might like one, you might not like the other. Droy Murdoch, Fox News contributor, here to make some sense of the majority leader. Droy, welcome back to the show. Happy New Year. Great to have you here.
Andy, Happy New Year. Hope 2022 is great for you and our listeners.
Yes, it's doing okay so far. You know, the filibuster it's the thing. It's the key for the Democrats to really unlock some very, very partisan measures upon the American people. And once you open that can of worms, I don't know that you can put them back in again. What's your take here on the majority leader and his conflicting words over the course of the years?
Yeah, this is what we call situation ethics. You know, what you believe and what you feel depends on what the situation is. And you heard on that recording there that this would be the end of our democracy. How dare the Republicans change the rules in the middle of the game? And what is Schumer trying to do right now? He's trying to change the rules in the middle of the game. Exactly the same thing. So, you know, this story changes depending on who's in charge, and the filibuster is sort of in the way, which is exactly why it's there. It's supposed to be, it's there specifically so that laws are not easy to pass. Laws should not be easy to pass, and they only should pass if, in fact, there is a significant supermajority of senators who believe, yep, this is something we need to do, and Schumer wants to get rid of this. I'm hoping that Senator Manchin of West Virginia and Senator Sinema of Arizona continue to stand up for this bulwark of American individual liberty and limited government, and stand by the filibuster and prevent Schumer and the radical left from achieving what they want to do, which is basically having the federal government nationalize elections and implement, they call it a voting right bill. I basically call it a vote fraud instruction manual, which is essentially what the so-called voting rights bill is. And it would allow all sorts of the temporary measures that were implemented as emergency measures due to COVID-19 to become permanent, and make it as easy as possible for the Democrats to steal the elections, which is what the party vote fraud typically and routinely does.
You know, DeRoy, if we were to federalize these elections, you hear Senator Schumer there talking about the authority that lies in those state legislatures. What kind of damage is that for people who are, you know, you're in New York, I live in Illinois, I work in Missouri. There's a lot of differences in those three states right there. What does the federalization of each of those states' election laws do for the people who they would be ruling over?
Well, the first thing it does is violate the Constitution, which clearly says that the ability to set the tone and manner and rules of elections lies with the state legislatures. Those rules are not to be changed by governors, secretaries of state, judges, nor by the U.S. Congress. They're supposed to be created and managed and set and changed by 50 state legislatures in large part, so that it would be very difficult to steal elections, steal the presidency if you've got 50 sets of rules to deal with rather than one set of rules. What the Democrats want to do is basically violate the Constitution, which is why I think this thing may implode in court, Supreme Court, if it gets that far, if it's passed, if it gets that far. And second, they want to change the rules in ways that will make it very easy for them to continue to play games, manipulate the election, and in my view, steal elections, things like automatic voter registration. So when you get a driver's license or you get onto public relief, you automatically get registered to vote, whether you want to vote or not. Some people aren't interested in voting. They don't like politics. They don't. You and I thrive on this stuff. So do the folks listening to this program. There's some people who just don't care. They don't want to be involved. They're not interested. And yet they would be registered to vote, even though they have no interest in this. People who are not citizens, people who are foreign citizens, could be registered to vote, who shouldn't be. Illegal aliens who are allowed to get driver's licenses in California, New York, and other states, they would be automatically registered to vote. There's no provision that says you need to check citizenship. So you'll find people who are not citizens of the United States, who are citizens of other countries, voting on our elections. The mass mail-in ballots that we saw last year, again, the temporary measure due to COVID, would be made permanent, and people would be getting mail-in ballots. Who knows if these people are dead or alive? Do they still live there? Are they moved away? Are they foreign citizens? So we'll have all these ballots sloshing around in the system. No voter ID, God forbid we ask voters to prove that they are who they say they are. let's weaken the standards on signatures on absentee ballots. So the Democrats just want to weaken every possible safeguard to make sure that our elections are legitimate. They want a loosey-goosey system, and in that sort of system, they are more assured of getting their people elected, and that's all that they care about. They're interested in fairness. They're interested in victories, period. And they should be ashamed of themselves, but this is the nature of the modern Democrat Party.
Fox News contributor Jory Murdoch with us right now. I mean, of all of the things that you're listing that Chuck Schumer and his party would like to do to expand voting rights, if we could have, I'm just thinking out loud here, but if we had voter ID laws where you just had to prove who you were so that you could vote. We want everybody who's eligible to vote. There's no reason to hinder anybody from accessing their right to vote. We just want to make sure that you vote one time. Are there things that people could trade for saying, you know what, we can do this, this, and this, but we would like to have voter ID laws? Would Democratic Party ever agree to some sort of deal like that?
Well, that's interesting. If we said something like, we'll make it easier for people to register to vote when they deal with the government at all. In exchange, we get voter ID. Maybe that's a good trade-off, perhaps. I don't know. But I don't see any sense on the part of Democrats to do anything whatsoever to tighten up the voting system. Every time something like this comes up, they say, no, you can't do that. Even things as simple as going through the vote rolls and making sure that the dead people are removed from the vote rolls. They have opposed that. When Governor Rick Scott of Florida, when he was governor, before Ron DeSantis, tried to go through and actually follow federal law, the so-called motor voter law, says the states must clean their vote rolls periodically, get rid of the dead people, get rid of the people who've moved out of state or moved addresses. And Governor Scott tried to do this. He was sued by Attorney General Eric Holder, who said, "Don't you do that? Don't you obey federal law? Because we consider this a violation of the 65 Voting Rights Act." Now, why on earth would the Democrats in the Department of Justice say, leave the dead people on the vote rolls, leave on the vote rolls the people who've moved out of Florida or maybe moved from Miami to Tampa or from Palm Beach to Naples or whatever it is? They're not interested in that. There was even a measure vetoed by Terry McAuliffe in Virginia when he was governor that said if you have an election in which you have more ballots cast than you have voters who actually voted, either there would be, you could do an investigation or you had to do an investigation, I forget which. He vetoed that. So he was very comfortable with the idea of having elections where there were more ballots floating around in the ballot boxes. There are actual human beings who drop them in the ballot boxes. And Democrat Terry McAuliffe was totally cool with that. And so he vetoed a measure that would have either allowed or required an investigation in such circumstances. The Democrats are not interested in having a secure election system. They want a loose, wide open, largely unregulated vote system because they figure that's the way they're most likely to get their people in and defeat Republican candidates.
Joy, the question that I think most people who have a few common sense brain cells to rub together here, when you're explaining why, Eric Holder may not want to, or Terry McAuliffe may not want to allow those things to engage in the Voting Rights Act of 65 and voter ID, there's always the big thing is it's racist to suggest that you would want to impede somebody from casting a ballot is immediately tied to racism. And the truth is that Republicans don't want to stop anybody from legally casting a ballot. We just don't want illegal ballots to be cast. What's the winning way to combat against these Democratic messages that have really, really gotten legs in the past few years? That if you're invested at all in trying to require someone to show an identification card to cast a ballot, that you are somehow trying to keep minority individuals from voting.
I would turn it right back around at them and say, how racist of you to say that black people are too stupid, confused, disorganized, lazy, or whatever it is, to go down to the DMV or the post office or wherever it is and get ID cards. In fact, most black people carry ID cards as it is. Either they've got driver's licenses, library cards, student ID, work ID, whatever it is. A lot of black folks somehow figure this out, and we are capable of getting ID cards. And for those people who don't have them for whatever reason, they ought to be able to get them for free at any DMV, at the post office, perhaps. Maybe you have vans that drive around it could be every day or every weekend, whatever. Go to certain neighborhoods, go right to your front door and take your picture, hand you your ID. There you go. There's your ID card. This can be done. We have this capacity. This is not a high-tech, difficult challenge. This is very easily done. And I would say the Democrats, number one, you're racist for assuming Black and Hispanic people and other minorities are just too dumb to get ID cards, number one. And number two, anyone who doesn't have one, we will give him one for free. And then the Democrats will not have an excuse. In fact, I think the Republican Party in every city in the country should have an effort, very active effort, to get ID cards so people don't have them. So when they scream racism, they'll say, excuse me, we're putting IDs in the hands of the few people who don't have them. What are you doing to solve this problem? Not just they can vote, but they can go to the bank, they can walk into government office buildings, they can get onto airplanes, they can get onto buses and trains, all these other places where you need to show ID cards. To get quercetin and other cough medicine, sometimes you got to show ID. These people don't have ID cards. Let's get them ID cards so they can participate fully in American life in 2022. The Democrats would prefer to have the talking point than to have a solution to the problem. And I think Republicans should solve the problem by getting ID cards in the hands of people who don't have them. And again, challenge the Democrats and say, how dare you attack Blacks, Hispanics, and other minorities as being, again, too stupid, disorganized, confused, or lazy to get their hands on ID cards. That's a very bigoted, very racist argument that Democrats routinely make.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's really impressive to watch them try to defend it, but it's very impossible to defend. Last question for you, Jeroy. People talk about extending voting before and after, I guess now, Election Day, in increasing the amount of days that you can vote, and going to people's homes and being able to harvest ballots. From what I understand, you can do a version of that in California. There have been versions of that done across the country in other circumstances over the course of time. COVID allowed a lot of mitigations in how we conduct our elections. I'm curious if you think that it's okay to have some sort of expectation on a voter. Having an ID is one expectation that you might be putting on someone, but maybe showing up to a polling place or registering for an absentee ballot with a reason ahead of time. Is it possibly discriminatory each time you put some sort of expectation on a voter to prove something or to show up somewhere? Is that something that could be discriminatory?
No, there's no discrimination. Again, are Black people so incapable that they can't get to the local fire station or the local, could be church basement or could be an elementary school and go vote like everybody else does? I mean, if white people can get to those locations to get to the polls, Black people can do that too. Now, if you're in a wheelchair, you're disabled, fine, we'll pick you up, we'll take you there. If you're paralyzed, you can't move, then yes, you get an absentee ballot. But this whole idea that, well, we can't expect people to show up, it's too much, so just vote at home, and then someone will come up and collect your ballot as well as 200 others and drop them off without signing his name, having a picture taken, showing ID. Who knows if those are legitimate ballots? Have they been tampered with? Did somebody go through and pull out the Republican ballots and throw them away, pull out the Democrat ballots and dump them? You have a real problem with the collapse of the secret ballot once people vote at home. And it could be something, not even necessarily a political thing with parties or fraudulent people. It could be somebody's with a skillet in his hand saying to his wife, okay, you better vote for candidate X or I'm going to clock you over the head. Or it could be the wife with a rolling pin telling the husband, you better vote for whoever I say or I'm going to clock you over the head with a rolling pin. You don't need that in a secret in the voting booth with nobody else. It's just you and your ballot without the pressure from your boss, your union, your spouse, your kids. Hey, Grandpa, if you don't vote the way we like, we're going to cut off your insulin for a couple of days and see how you feel. We don't need this sort of pressure on people. People ought to have the secret ballot in the booth, in the polls without anybody there, even just having questions answered. Let's say you're confused. Do I fill in the bubble or do I put an X or do I circle it? Let me ask the poll worker who will tell me what to do. Okay, sir, you need to fill in the bubble. Okay. If you're sitting at home and you say, okay, I'm going to circle or write down the name of the person I want rather than fill the bubble, your vote doesn't count. And oops, you thought you were voting for president, but your vote didn't get counted. If you go to the polls, you can have your questions answered to make sure that you vote correctly, properly, legally, and have your vote counted as it should be. So this whole business of voting at home in your underwear between Labor Day and Election Day is ridiculous. We need to go back to what we used to do for hundreds of years, show up at the polls, put your clothes on, march down to the schoolhouse, the fire station, church basement, and all of us on Election Day can decide who are our presidents, senators, congressmen, governors, mayors, school boards, dog catcher, whatever it is. And then on election night, we all find out who the winners are. We did that between the 19th century or the 18th century all the way up until really about 10, 12 years ago when Democrats decided, okay, let's just tear all that up and, vote with towels on our waists with, whatever pressure from other people, and then different folks picking up our ballots and maybe dropping them off, maybe taking them and dropping them in the shredders. Who knows where they're going? So this whole Democrat model of making basically dumbing down elections needs to be reversed. Go back to election day, in person voting with ID cards, knowing that you are in fact an American citizen casting a legitimate ballot that will be counted as it should be. That's the model we need to return to.
Fox News contributor Joy Murdoch, and we are with you on that, watching Senators Manchin and Sinema as they push back on the filibuster. We'll see if Chuck Schumer gets what he wants, but it depends on which Chuck Schumer you listen to these days, the 2005 or the 2021 one. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you, Joy. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, Annie. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Attorney General Eric Schmidt coming on to talk to us about, did you hear what happened in the city of St. Louis, or in the county, I should say, last night? Here it is, the AG, when we come back on this issue.
It has been moved and second, and a roll call has been requested. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Days.
Aye.
Councilmember Dunaway. Aye. Councilmember Fitch.
No.
Councilmember Webb. Aye. Councilmember Clancy. Aye. Councilmember Tracus.
No.
Councilmember Harder.
For freedom, no.
Madam Chair, on the motion to adopt Prepared Order number 3, there are 4 ayes and 3 noes.
There are 4 ayes and 3 noes, and based on the decision from the county councilor, 4 votes is what is required. Motion passes.
Threatening, throttling, or outright censorship. Not here. This is the place for ideas. 97.1 FM Talk. Right here, right now.
Stewart's American Mortgage, the guy who's got the bagel loan. Yeah, he's going to be able to do your refinance right now and help you get the low rates while they're still here. Federal Reserve meeting in March. Rates are probably going up pretty quickly here. Get that low rate locked in. Did you know he can close in 14 days without charging you fees that every other lender out there is going to charge you for? This is a no-brainer, folks. So much so that as I've talked to you about Stewie and the bagel loan at Stewart's American Mortgage for the last, almost 3 years, I've talked myself into doing it twice because it doesn't cost you anything to do it. I'm not foolish. I don't.
Easy to find a unique engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose from a variety of styles, classic, modern, or elaborate and detailed, all designed by our in-house team. Then for the center stone, we have the state's largest selection of diamonds, rubies, and over a dozen colors of sapphires, as well as peach morganite and aquamarine. All of our stones are conflict-free and natural. We'll make finding the perfect engagement ring fun and easy. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Stop me on the corner, swear You hit me like a vision I wasn't expecting. But who am I to tell Frey where it's supposed to go with it? Don't you blink, you might miss it.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
There's nothing keeping anybody in the city of St. Louis or the county of St. Louis from wearing a mask. There's no law. You can wear a mask all day long, wear it to bed, wear it in your car. It's up to you. No one is stopping you from wearing a mask.
That's Mark Harder as he voted no against the mask mandate. In his words, for freedom. No. Appreciate that. St. Louis County voting 4-3 to put a mask mandate back in place. And the lawman himself, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, on here to talk about the legality of this. Welcome back to the show, Eric. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's great to be with you again.
So you've heard about this mask mandate. Sam Page is continuing to push this in the county. What's your reaction to this quick turnaround saying, yeah, we're gonna do a mandate again. We need to make that happen?
It's totally insane. And these COVID tyrants just refuse to relinquish this power and control they've kind of gotten used to trying to wield and really just return it back to the people. That's what this whole thing's about, which to me is just it's mind-boggling, to be honest with you. Really what, conservatives like me and a lot of, by the way, not just conservatives. I have to tell you, there's a lot of people who of different political stripes that have just had enough of this stuff. They're tired of being told what to do. They're tired of having their lives, what they're supposed to do dictated to them by these people like Sam Page, who I guess when you're just used to signing budgets and naming streets, this is immense authority, right? To be able to tell people, I'm going to make you safe. If you just put this cloth mask on, which, by the way, even leftist public health bureaucrats have changed their tune on, which we've been talking about for a long time. These cloth masks are ineffective. The fear mongering is just through the roof. And anyway, so here we are again. But the sad reality is it's just going to cost county taxpayers money. Mm-hmm. But I'll be filing a lawsuit today, and we'll win again, very shortly once we get this in front of the court, because there's just no legal basis. It's an illegal order. And we've beaten Sam Page and these tyrants at every step of the way, going on almost a year now. But they keep coming back for more. And I think it's just to sort of, I guess, be in the news and act like you're doing something and look like you're in charge and exert this power and control. But ultimately, we're going to keep winning. I think people are waking up to the idea that this has nothing to do with science or data. It has to do with power and control.
You remind me of Captain America, whose line is, I can do this all day. So you're going to be...
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. These guys, they have no idea. They maybe they don't know me well enough, but I'm not going anywhere because we've talked on the show. You have to put these things in a broader context too. You cannot allow people who are never supposed to have this kind of a power to ever get it in the first place, because they're never going to want to let it go. And you don't need to have a PhD in history to figure this out. This has been the way of the world forever. It's the way of the world in most parts of the world, even today. You see, by the way, in France, they're talking about declaring people non-citizens who haven't been vaccinated. Wow. I mean, this stuff is nuts. And so we got to get a hold of it. We got to make sure here in America, we don't fall into this dystopian, biomedical security state where you need to get Sam Page's permission, to be outside or inside with a mask on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or you're, a 5-year-old. It's just nuts.
Ron on our Facebook page right now says, keep up the pressure, Eric. And I hear a lot of people who are supporting you in your persistence on this issue. I'm reading the Fox 2 report here. It says council members voted 4-3 in favor of the order, which would require vaccinated and unvaccinated people older than 5 to wear face coverings in indoor public spaces. What is defined as a public space?
I mean, look, the reality is with this ordinance, they're including anywhere where the public can go into, right? And so, and you think about the reach of this, that the government is saying that no matter what, even if a business owner objects to it, or they don't have the authority really to do this with schools anyway, but let's just say a school wanted to have, and a lot of them that moved to optional masking because of our legal threat here now that there's a new Cole County hearing, and the school districts don't have the authority to do this either. They've moved away from it. It's sweeping. It's just sweeping, and that's the point. The point is to try to intimidate, to try to confuse people, to get you to obey. And we are in year 3 now, right? Year 3 of 2020, 2021, now 2022. And I've been saying for a long time, these people are going to never let it go. And I heard people say, oh, no, we'll just wait till a vaccine's available. We'll just wait till, whatever. But what we've seen is it's never going away. And COVID is with us. There are going to be surges and there are going to be declines in case numbers if that's your measure. But the truth is the Omicron variant is much milder than the Delta was. And this is how viruses work. And we all should take it seriously. But people can make these decisions themselves. Like, that's ultimately the point here, right? You can decide if you want to wear a mask or not. You can decide if you want to get the vaccine or not. So what's happening right now is this kind of groupthink of that everybody has to do it, and the government's going to compel everybody to do it because the people in charge want, we know it's best for you and you're going to do it. And we have to push back against that. Mm-hmm. That is a mentality, that is a road to tyranny. And it's not just I'm not overstating that. That's how it's worked in, over the course of history. And certainly, you look in Europe in the the mid 20th century. This stuff there's nothing new under the sun. It's just shocking to me that so many folks on the left here in this country have bought into this.
We're speaking with the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, Eric Schmidt, on with us right now. Mike on our Facebook page asks, what happens if the council tries to get lockdowns in the St. Louis County? I have to think, without the pressure that you've put on already, that the things that you might have to step in to stop, if you hadn't done it, might be a lot more severe than, hey, wear a mask if you're older than 5 in a public space.
No, that's right. And I think that these folks would try to get away with it if they could. And why, I just take my job so seriously. I just feel like my job, I swore an oath when I became Attorney General to protect, the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Missouri. And what the Constitution does is essentially enshrines that these are protections for the people, that their rights should not be infringed. And so as their lawyer, I don't represent these bureaucrats. I don't represent these quote unquote experts. I represent the people, and the people can go out and live their lives. This is America, and I just think people are getting tired of it. I hope people are getting tired of it. That's the people that I talk to, and folks who, like I said, not just conservatives, not just Republicans, but some people have to whisper it to me, like say, keep at it, because there's just no end to this. There's no end to this. And if our republic is going to operate by way of emergency rule and one person deciding, that's not a republic anymore. And so that's why these fights are important. And by the way, on Friday, we'll be arguing in front of the United States Supreme Court on the vaccine mandates. Missouri is leading the way on that, and that's set for oral argument in 48 hours. And so these are big, important issues that have to do with vaccines and they have to do with masks, but they're about bigger issues too, about who we are as a country and if we're going to remain a free country or not. So
you've certainly been a leading voice on that. Eric Schmidt with us right now, the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. Last question before I let you go, because I know you're a busy man. I've talked with business owners, businesses that I've been patronizing in the city of St. Louis, around the county, and they are so frustrated because they can't please anybody because, the pro-mask people come and police their business for them. The anti-mask people want to patronize their business and not wear masks. And it is a lose-lose situation for them. So you're advocating for them in the way that you're, if you win here and Sam Page and the county loses once again, then people are still free to wear masks if they choose to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's forced to. But who's backing these businesses?
Yeah, that's the thing is, I'm not. I'm advocating for people to do what they want to do. If you want to walk around outside with 8 masks on your face, go ahead. I don't care. I really don't care. I wouldn't do it, but whatever. It's a free country, right? What I used to say when I was a kid. But the government shouldn't be dictating it. And by the way, even if you thought it was the best thing to do, whatever happened to persuasion? Well, first of all, the facts really are on our other side, and maybe that's the point. But in this country, the reason we have the First Amendment is for people to be able to speak their mind and try to persuade, be open to being persuaded. We've replaced all that. We've skipped all those steps now. And the folks on the left, it's just about government compulsion. And this is the problem, by the way, when you put your faith in government, when you've taken, God out of people's lives, any kind of higher power, the focus on the individual. We believe in individual rights. And when you believe the state is supreme, you look to the state for every solution, and it doesn't work. It's never worked. It won't work. And so, again, I think there's just some big issues at play here, and they've come into focus certainly since COVID appeared.
Yeah, that is for sure. I'm reading right now a headline on Fox News that New Orleans public schools are mandating vaccines for kids 5 and up starting February 1st. It is out of control, and it's good to see that in the state of Missouri, you're working very hard to advocate for the people and not the overlording government. Good to have a fighter on our side. Eric Schmidt, thank you so much.
Great to be with you again. Take care.
Yep, take care. You as well. Attorney General of the state of Missouri, they're fighting for your rights. That makes me so mad. That boils my blood so much. It's the second time today that I've wanted to yell the BS word. But I won't, because I'm not allowed to. Because of the government. And because of common sense and decency.
I hate that. That what makes me mad is probably what makes you mad is that what they're doing is they are trying to usurp the authority of the parent in that relationship, in that family. And it's not your role. Same thing goes for teachers. You are not the parent. The parent is the parent.
Did you hear about that teacher who vaccinated that kid?
Yes, I saw that.
What I would do? I wouldn't be on here anymore.
No.
I wouldn't be here anymore.
You'd be getting fitted for an orange jumpsuit.
I'd be detained. And I don't know what would happen after that. But here in the state of Illinois, oh my gosh, not to suggest that I would do this, but did you hear, was it New York that they said that you're no longer going to get jail time for armed robbery? What? Okay. We're giving people a list of how-tos. How to be profitable without going to jail. Steal $950 worth of stuff with a gun, and you might be inconvenienced for a moment, but you'll be fine. We are upside down. We're in the upside down. This is what's that show called? Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
This is the strangest things. We have gone to the sequel. My goodness. We're going to take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show right around the corner. Hannah's manning the ship here on the live stream. Once again, if you didn't hear yesterday, that was quite something. I just completely turned over the live stream to her. Brad, you've worked this thing before. How's she doing?
She's doing a good job.
She's doing great.
Yes.
I think she's doing great. So come comment and say hi to Hannah on the live chat. And we're going to have Ryan Wiggins back in studio here with us in the 2:00 hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. The Mark Reardon Show.
Frank Cusimano. Ryan O'Reilly has said it best. If you are vaccinated and you have no symptoms, then you shouldn't be tested every day. If they keep doing this, we're just not going to see professional sport.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
It's time for Edwards Carpet's New Year's sale. If you've been waiting for a sale so big you have to get new carpet, then this is it. Right now, you get a beautiful 50-ounce Anso high-performance fiber carpet with a 20-year non-prorated warranty. The strongest warranty in the industry that normally sells for $6.99 a square foot is now only $3.99 a square foot completely installed. With prices skyrocketing, you can't beat this deal. See you soon and Happy New Year.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Tom and Shirley were shocked when they realized that their retirement income wouldn't come close to letting them do everything they wanted to do. They did have plenty of equity in their home, so they checked out a reverse mortgage. But the idea of taking on mounting debt and so much red tape, no thank you. That's when their financial advisor told them about TrueHold. When they compared TrueHold to a reverse mortgage, the advantages were clear. While both let you stay in your home, the huge difference was money. A reverse mortgage would pay them only a fraction of their home's total value, while TrueHold paid them 100% of their home value minus a small fee. Bottom line, TrueHold paid twice the cash as a reverse mortgage, and they could stay in their homes renting as long as they wished. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com and see how easy they make getting 100% of your home's value within 30 days. That's 1-855-300-9993. or go to truehold.com.
With winter coming on, we're spending more time sealed up in our homes, trapped with airborne contaminants and pollutants from viruses, mold, allergens, and chemicals, all contributing to poor indoor air quality. Since the energy crisis of the 70s, homes are constructed tighter and energy efficient, trapping the air within our living space. We've seen restaurants and businesses, as recommended by the EPA, increase ventilation to reduce the potential for airborne transmission of the COVID virus. And now you can do the same for your home with a whole house ventilation system that can remove 85% of airborne pollutants from your living area. Call Midwest Healthy Home Solutions, the area's go-to for indoor air quality, mold, and moisture problems. Call now and receive a free indoor air quality analysis with a full color report checking 6 important parameters of your home's air. Find out more about your indoor air by calling in Missouri 314-731-4644, Illinois 618-372-7077, or online at MidwestHealthyHome.com.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Install a low-flow shower head and keep water off when brushing teeth or shaving to save water every day. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with a new heating system this winter. You could get 0% financing for up to 72 months on qualifying new HVAC systems. For free details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Over the past several years, work that you have
You're
done
listening to Merrick Garland, who is speaking on findings from the January 6th anniversary committee. So let's listen into the Attorney General and see what he has to say.
Thank you for your service, for your sacrifice, and for your dedication. I am honored to serve alongside you. And second, as we begin a new year, and as we prepare to mark a solemn anniversary tomorrow.
Up-to-the-minute traffic reports, so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
In our power to defend the American people and American democracy. We will defend our democratic institutions from attack. We will protect those who serve the public from violence and threats of violence. We will protect the cornerstone of our democracy, the right to every eligible citizen to cast a vote that counts. And we will do all of this in a manner that adheres to the rule of law and honors our obligation to protect the civil rights and civil liberties of everyone in this country. Tomorrow will mark the first anniversary of January 6, 2021, the day the United States Capitol was attacked while lawmakers met to affirm the results of a presidential election. In the early afternoon of January 6th, as the United States Senate and House of Representatives were meeting to certify the vote count of the Electoral College, a large crowd gathered outside the Capitol building. Shortly after 2 p.m., individuals in the crowd began to force entry into the Capitol by smashing windows and assaulting U.S. Capitol Police, who were stationed there to protect the members of Congress as they took part in one of the most solemn proceedings of our democracy. Others in the crowd encouraged and assisted those who attacked the police. Over the course of several hours, outnumbered law enforcement officers sustained a barrage of repeated violent attacks. About 80 Capitol Police and 60 DC Metropolitan Police were assaulted. As our own court filings and thousands of public videos of the event attest, perpetrators punched dozens of law enforcement officers, knocking some officers unconscious. Some perpetrators tackled and dragged law enforcement officers. Among the many examples of such violence, one officer was crushed in a door, another was dragged down a set of stairs, face down, repeatedly tased and beaten, and suffered a heart attack. Some perpetrators attacked law enforcement officers with chemical agents that burned their eyes and skin, and some assaulted officers with pipes, poles, and other dangerous or deadly weapons. Perpetrators also targeted, assaulted, tackled, and harassed journalists and destroyed their equipment. With increasing numbers of individuals having breached the Capitol, Members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, including the President of the Senate, Vice President Mike Pence, had to be evacuated. As a consequence, proceedings in both chambers were disrupted for hours, interfering with a fundamental element of American democracy, the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. Those involved must be held accountable, and there is no higher priority for us at the Department of Justice. It is impossible to overstate the heroism of the Capitol Police officers, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department officers, and other law enforcement officers who defended and secured the Capitol that day. They demonstrated to all of us and to our country what true courage looks like. Their resolve, their sacrifice, and their bravery protected thousands of people working inside the Capitol that day. 5 officers who responded selflessly to the attack on January 6th have since lost their lives. I ask everyone to please join me in a moment of silence in recognition of the service and sacrifice of Officer Brian Sicknick, Officer Howard Liebengood, Officer Jeffrey Smith, Officer Gunther Hashida, and Officer Kyle DeFreitag. I know I speak for all of us in saying that tomorrow and in our work in the days ahead, we will not only remember them, we will do everything we can to honor them. In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. Only a small number of perpetrators were arrested in the tumult of January 6th itself. Every day since, we have worked to identify, investigate, and apprehend defendants from across the country. And we have done so at record speed and scale in the midst of a pandemic during which some grand juries and courtrooms were not able to operate. Led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia and the FBI's Washington Field Office, DOJ personnel across the department in nearly all 56 field offices, in nearly all 94 United States Attorney's offices, and in many main justice components have worked countless hours to investigate the attack. Approximately 70 prosecutors from the District of Columbia and another 70 from other U.S. Attorney's offices and DOJ divisions have participated in this investigation. So far, we have issued over 5,000 subpoenas and search warrants, seized approximately 2,000 devices, poured through over 20,000 hours of video footage, and searched through an estimated 15 terabytes of data. We have received over 300,000 tips from ordinary citizens who have been our indispensable partners in this effort. The FBI's website continues to post photos of persons in connection with the events of January 6th, and we continue to seek the public's assistance in identifying those individuals. As of today, we have arrested and charged more than 725 defendants in nearly all 50 states and the District of Columbia for their roles in the January 6th attack. In charging the perpetrators, we have followed well-worn prosecutorial practices. Those who assaulted officers or damaged the Capitol face greater charges. Those who conspired with others to obstruct the vote count also face greater charges. Those who did not undertake such conduct have been charged with lesser offenses, particularly if they accepted their responsibility early and cooperated with the investigation. In the first months of the investigation, approximately 145 defendants pled guilty to misdemeanors, mostly defendants who did not cause injury or damage. Such pleas reflect the facts of those cases and the defendant's acceptance of responsibility, and they help conserve both judicial and prosecutorial resources so that attention can properly focus on the more serious perpetrators. In complex cases, initial charges are often less severe than later charged offenses. This is purposeful, as investigators methodically collect and sift through more evidence. By now, though, we have charged over 325 defendants with felonies, many for assaulting officers and many for corruptly obstructing or attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. 20 defendants charged with felonies have already pled guilty. Approximately 40 defendants have been charged with conspiracy to obstruct a congressional proceeding and or to obstruct law enforcement. In the months ahead, 17 defendants are already scheduled to go to trial for their role in felony conspiracies. A necessary consequence to the prosecutorial approach of charging less serious offenses first is that courts impose shorter sentences before they impose longer ones. In recent weeks, however, as judges have sentenced the first defendants convicted of assaults and related violent conduct against officers, we have seen significant sentences that reflect the seriousness of those offenses, both in terms of the injuries they caused and the serious risk they posed to our democratic institutions. The actions we have taken thus far will not be our last. The Justice Department remains committed to holding all January 6 perpetrators at any level accountable under law, whether they were present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy. We will follow the facts wherever they lead. Because January 6 was an unprecedented attack on the seat of our democracy, we understand that there is broad public interest in our investigation. We understand that there are questions about how long the investigation will take and about what exactly we are doing. Our answer is, and will continue to be, the same answer we would give with respect to any ongoing investigation. As long as it takes, and whatever it takes, for justice to be done consistent with the facts and the law. I understand that this may not be the answer some are looking for, but we will and we must speak through our work. Anything else jeopardizes the viability of our investigations and the civil liberties of our citizens. Everyone in this room and on these screens is familiar with the way we conduct investigations, and particularly complex investigations. We build investigations by laying a foundation. We resolve more straightforward cases first because they provide the evidentiary foundation for more complex cases. Investigating the more overt crimes generates linkages to less overt ones. Overt actors and the evidence they provide can lead us to others who may also have been involved. And that evidence can serve as a foundation for further investigative leads and techniques. In circumstances like those of January 6, a full accounting does not suddenly materialize. To ensure that all those criminally responsible are held accountable, we must collect the evidence. We follow the physical evidence. We follow the digital evidence. We follow the money. But most important, we follow the facts. Not an agenda or an assumption. The facts tell us where to go next. Over 40 years ago, in the wake of the Watergate scandal, the Justice Department concluded that the best way to ensure the department's independence, integrity, and fair application of our laws, and therefore the best way to ensure the health of our democracy, is to have a set of norms to govern our work. The central norm is that in our criminal investigations, there cannot be different rules depending on one's political party or affiliation. There cannot be different rules for friends and foes. and there cannot be different rules for the powerful and the powerless. There is only one rule. We follow the facts and enforce the law in a way that respects the Constitution and protects civil liberties. We conduct every investigation guided by the same norms, and we adhere to those norms even when, and especially when, the circumstances we face are not normal. Adhering to the department's longstanding norms is essential to our work in defending our democracy, particularly at a time when we are confronting a rise in violence and unlawful threats of violence in our shared public spaces and directed at those who serve the public. We have all seen that Americans who serve and interact with the public at every level, many of whom make our democracy work every day, have been unlawfully targeted with threats of violence and actual violence. Across the country, election officials and election workers, airline flight crews, school personnel, journalists, local elected officials, U.S. senators and representatives, and judges, prosecutors, and police officers have been threatened and or attacked. These are our fellow citizens who administer our elections, ensure our safe travel, teach our children, report the news, represent their constituents, and keep our communities safe. Some have been told that their offices would be bombed. Some have been told that they would be murdered, and precisely how, that they would be hanged, that they would be beheaded. Police officers who put their lives on the line every day to serve our communities have been targeted with extraordinary levels of violence. Flight crews have been assaulted, journalists have been targeted, school personnel and their families have been threatened. A member of Congress was threatened in a gruesome voicemail that asked if she had ever seen what a .50 caliber shell does to a human head. Another member of Congress, an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, received threats that left her terrified for her family. And in 2020, a federal judge in New Jersey was targeted by someone who had appeared before her in court. That person compiled information about where the judge and her family lived and went to church. That person found the judge's home, shot and killed her son, and injured her husband. These acts and threats of violence are not associated with any one set of partisan or ideological views, but they are permeating so many parts of our national life that they risk becoming normalized and routine if we do not stop them. That is dangerous for people's safety, and it is deeply dangerous for our democracy. In a democracy, people vote, argue, and debate, often vociferously, in order to achieve the policy outcomes they desire. But in a democracy, people must not employ violence or unlawful threats of violence to affect that outcome. Citizens must not be intimidated from exercising their constitutional rights to free expression and association by such unlawful conduct. The Justice Department will continue to investigate violence and illegal threats of violence, disrupt that violence before it occurs, and hold perpetrators accountable. We have marshaled the resources of the department to address the rising violence and criminal threats of violence against election workers, against flight crews, against school personnel, against journalists, against members of Congress, and against federal agents, prosecutors, and judges. In 2021, the department charged more defendants in criminal threat cases than in any year in at least the last 5. As we do this work, we are guided by our commitment to protect civil liberties, including the First Amendment rights of all citizens. The department has been clear that expressing a political belief or ideology, no matter how vociferously, is not a crime. We do not investigate or prosecute people because of their views. Peacefully expressing a view or ideology, no matter how extreme, is protected by the First Amendment. But illegally threatening to harm or kill another person is not. There is no First Amendment right to unlawfully threaten to harm or kill someone. As Justice Scalia noted in RAV versus City of St. Paul, true threats of violence are outside the First Amendment because laws that punish such threats, quote, protect individuals from the fear of violence, from the disruption that fear engenders, and from the possibility that the threatened violence will occur. The latter point hits particularly close to home for those of us who have investigated tragedies ranging from the Oklahoma City bombing to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The time to address threats is when they are made, not after the tragedy has struck. As employees of the nation's largest law enforcement agency, each of us understands that we have an obligation to protect our citizens from violence and fear of violence, and we will continue to do our part to provide that protection. But the Justice Department cannot do it alone. The responsibility to bring an end to violence and threats of violence against those who serve the public is one that all Americans share. Such conduct disrupts the peace of our public spaces and undermines our democracy. We are all Americans. We must protect each other. The obligation to keep Americans and American democracy safe is part of the historical inheritance of this department. As I have noted several times before, a founding purpose of the Justice Department was to battle violent extremist attacks on our democratic institutions. In the midst of Reconstruction following the Civil War, the department's first principal task was to secure the civil rights promised by the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. This meant protecting Black Americans seeking to exercise their right to vote from acts and threats of violence by white supremacists. The framers of the Civil War amendments recognized that access to the ballot is a fundamental aspect of citizenship and self-government. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 sought to make the promise of those amendments real. To do so, it gave the Justice Department valuable tools with which to protect the right to vote. In recent years, however, the protection of the Voting Rights Act have been drastically weakened. The Supreme Court's 2013 decision in the Shelby County case effectively eliminated the preclearance protections of Section 5, which had been the department's most effective tool for protecting voting rights over the past half century. Subsequent decisions have substantially narrowed the reach of Section 2 as well. Since those decisions, there has been a dramatic increase in legislative enactments that make it harder for millions of eligible voters to vote and to elect representatives of their own choosing. Those enactments range from practices and procedures that make voting more difficult, to redistricting maps drawn to disadvantage both minorities and citizens of opposing political parties, to abnormal post-election audits that put the integrity of the voting process at risk, to changes in voting administration meant to diminish the authority of locally elected or nonpartisan election administrators. Some have even suggested permitting state legislators to set aside the choice of the voters themselves. As I noted in an address to the Civil Rights Division last June, many of those enactments have been justified by unfounded claims of material vote fraud in the 2020 election. Those claims, which have corroded people's faith in the legitimacy of our elections, have been repeatedly refuted by the law enforcement and intelligence agencies of both the last administration and this one, as well as by every court, federal and state, that has considered them. The Department of Justice will continue to do all it can to protect voting rights with the enforcement powers we have. It is essential that Congress act to give the department the powers we need to ensure that every eligible voter can cast a vote that counts. But as with violence and threats of violence, the Justice Department, even the Congress, cannot alone defend the right to vote. The responsibility to preserve democracy and to maintain faith in the legitimacy of its essential processes lies with every elected official and with every American. All Americans are entitled to free, fair, and secure elections that ensure they can select the representatives of their choice. All Americans are entitled to live in a country in which their public servants can go about their jobs of serving the public free from violence and unlawful threats of violence. And all Americans are entitled to live in a country in which the transition from one elected administration to the next is accomplished peacefully. The Justice Department will never stop working to defend the democracy to which all Americans are entitled. As I recognized when I spoke with you all last March, service in the Department of Justice is more than a job and more than an honor. It is a calling. Each of us, you and I, came to work here because we are committed to the rule of law and to seeking equal justice under law. We came to work here because we are committed to ensuring the civil rights and civil liberties of our people. We came to work here because we are committed to protecting our country, as our oath says, from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Together, we will continue to show the American people by word and by deed that these are the principles that underlie our work. The challenges that we have faced and that we will continue to face are extraordinarily, but I am moved and humbled by the extraordinary work you do every single day to meet them. I look forward to seeing more of you in person soon and to our continued work together. Thank you all.
You've been listening to the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. A few people in the room feeling like he's doing a pretty good job there. We're going to take a quick break. We took that long. We thank you for sticking with us. Ryan Wiggins in studio with us right now. We're going to take a break, potty break. I got some cottage cheese that I want to get and eat real quick for lunch.
That's weird. Okay.
It's true.
Okay. Thank you for being transparent.
You're drinking beef broth right there.
I am not. It's coconut water. It's just in a box. It looks like beef broth.
Okay. It's also weird. We'll be right back with reaction to this and more in the 2 o'clock hour. Don't go away.
Skies hanging around the freezing point. Tonight, cloudy skies, the evening's dry. Light snow after midnight, 15. Thursday, light snow in the morning. An inch of snow possible. A couple of isolated spots up to 2. But it's a dry snow, powdery snow, blowing all over the place with some poor visibility. And expect some slick roads Thursday morning. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The COVID era has wreaked havoc on blood supplies. That's why what you accomplished right before Christmas was so remarkable. 97.1 listeners, along with our St. Louis Odyssey stations, showed up over 3 days at area YMCAs and donated over 900 units of blood. You weren't afraid. You showed up and you met the need. Go to redcross.org and continue to give. With 97.1 FM Talk.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with lots of sound effects. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here are some zany sounds. Saving on home insurance is no laughing matter. Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. The money you save could change your life. It's time for you to take your insurance choice seriously. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Why does Walgreens offer copays as low as $0 and 90-day refills? Because we care about Medicare, so you don't have to. I mean, do you really care to hear me go on about same-day prescription delivery making your life easier? Or how there's a pharmacy expert available 24/7 and one-click refills? Well, I just did anyways. Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details.
If your business has accounting problems, you probably have tax problems. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Running a small business is tough, and it's no surprise that companies that don't keep good books often run into tax issues. If you don't fix your accounting problems, you could be doomed to land in the same tax pitfalls every year. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I can help you get out of tax trouble and stay out. If your small business doesn't have a CPA or accountant, I can help you find one. And if you already have one, I work closely with them to resolve your tax problems quickly. Make no mistake, if the numbers don't add up, the IRS will catch it. Fix your accounting and tax problems before they snowball with help from the Lance Drury Law Firm. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the car.
Home values have skyrocketed.
And Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 1.875% rate.
I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. With our low rates and your equity, you can make home improvements or pay off debt.
Plus, skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call 314-567-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending, short my blues.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.953% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Worried about what you're breathing in? With each breath, allergens, germs, and viruses get trapped in your nose. Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage, Navage. Available at Navage.com.
Download the Odyssey app to discover hundreds of new exclusive music stations. Available now. For music fans, by music fans. Music stations specific to your taste. Now available through the Odyssey app. It's all at Odyssey.com. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by the Loading Dock, with a unique and beautiful ice skating rink to enjoy this time of year. Go to GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about. That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for being here. We've had quite an interesting show so far. We've spoken with Dr. Hardiman on some of the latest pandemic-related stories. We've spoken with Roy Murdoch, who brought up a lot of conversations surrounding voting issues and the filibuster with Chuck Schumer. And we talked to Attorney General Eric Schmidt, and we were discussing with him the mask mandate. We just got done listening to the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. And I don't know, I find that stuff tough to listen to, which sounds like maybe as the person who's running the show that we should not air that. But I do think it's important to put it out there and let people hear that for themselves and react to it. Ryan, you came in here to listen to it. Is there anything specific that really touched an important level for you?
Yes. The whole first, probably 75% of that speech was a Department of Justice press release. It was just him saying, this is what we do. And it was unnecessary, but it was fine. There was really nothing wrong with what he said in the most of the first half, because it's stuff that we all would agree. Yeah, that's what the Department of Justice is supposed to do. But he was doing that to set up the last 25%, which was all partisan. So he was saying, here's all of what we all agree with, right? Now here's what we're going to focus on. And it was basically Democrat talking points from then on. So that was disappointing.
You know, I think that this kind of ties into, and we're going to maybe take this a few more minutes here and then get ourselves back on track with the schedule, since that took an extra 10 minutes into the 2 o'clock hour that we didn't anticipate. Is something that you said, you heard us talking about yesterday, that you kind of almost put Wiggins America in the recycle bin and said, I'd like to talk about what I opened the show with yesterday. You guys can listen to the podcast if you want to hear it from the original source. But when we talk about January 6th, which is tomorrow, and when you go back to that place, when I go back to thinking about that day, I think it's kind of like, I don't draw the comparison at all. So don't quote me wrong on this, that September 11th and January 6th are the same, because I have heard people make that correlation, and I think it's the dumbest thing that they've ever said in their lives to suggest that those two events are the same.
Yeah. It's dumb.
I'm pausing to make sure that the stupidity is really getting its own moment there, and how stupid that is.
Let that sink in.
I thought that and didn't say it, but you did. One of my least favorite phrases ever. But the reason why I bring up September 11th is because if you think back to September 10th and you think back to September 12th, all three of those days are significantly different days, the way you feel. And you can likely think back to what your life was like on September 10th. My life was blissfully ignorant because I was 17 years old. And September 12th, this swelling of patriotism that you had, and fear, and a complete and total slap in the face of what's really important. The reason I bring this up is that you can think back to that time and specifically remember a real tangible emotion that you yourself possessed because of what was going on at that time. When I think back to, January 5th being the day before all of this happened, of course, and I think about how I felt then, and I think about coming off of an election season that, for me, because my guy lost, was incredibly disappointing. I remember specifically seeking out in my off-air life, Christmas, the holidays and everything, so I had taken some time off, but you come back to work. It was this week. You come back, you're refreshed as much as you can. But I remember when I was on that holiday break, I didn't want to even catch scent of the election stuff because it was emotionally too heavy to bear. That's how people felt on January 5th. That's how people felt on January 6th, before people breached the Capitol building. And because people breached the Capitol building, we don't talk about how people felt that day. It wasn't just about losing an election. Folks, we came off of 2020, which was collectively the hardest year of our life, as a country, probably as a human race across the world. Awful year. And the amount of sadness and depression and weight that came with the year 2020, combined with an incredibly exponentially politically charged conclusion to 2020, was all bottled up there at the beginning of January, and this happened. And I was saying yesterday that there is a great sadness and weight that occurs in that. And the analogy that I made yesterday was when you are driving in a car and something happens and you know that you just missed being in a really awful car accident. Maybe you weren't paying attention. Maybe somebody else wasn't paying attention and it just misses. And you drive for 30 seconds and all of a sudden your body says, okay, you're safe now. You can relax. That adrenaline rush starts to dissipate and you feel your body letting go. I don't think our country has exhaled yet. I don't think the adrenaline rush has gone away. And I think that is drastically impacting every single aspect of our lives. And Ryan, you said that you had some thoughts on that. You want to give them to us when we come back?
Yeah, I do. That'd be great.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick break. Please join us and tell us kind of your headspace, your thoughts. We've been reading a lot of the comments coming through on both sides of the issue on the Annie Frey Show Facebook page, on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Getter. We are where you are. So come hang out with us. Odyssey app on your phone as well. We'll be right back with Ryan's reaction to that in just a minute.
It may be hard for you to stop and believe.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Over you, ooh, I divido.
It's not about left versus right. It's about wrong versus right. Where St. Louis comes to talk. Right here, right now. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloor.com. That's where you go to see the inventory that they have, the locations that they have available for you. You can see the phone number to call. You can also see the little button that clicks there to get a free estimate. They have product in stock. So if you are interested in making a purchase and you want the turnaround time to be definite, go to Michael's Flooring Outlet and see what they have. They are a locally owned and operated, the old-fashioned way of doing business here in America. Your neighbors who are running this flooring store and doing it successfully. They've done it with great value, with great products, and great customer service. When you walk into the Michael's Flooring Outlet stores, they've got displays out all over the place so you can see the way the flooring is going to look and feel underneath your feet. If you're investing in carpet, maybe that Mohawk Smart Strand, hypoallergenic. If you've got allergy issues, you love the carpet, but you want to make sure it adheres to your lifestyle. You can walk over that and you can test out different sizes of pads. So if you want to invest in a little bit nicer pad, you can get to know what the actual real feel is. If you're looking for a Michael's Flooring Outlet near you, or you're looking to see what they have in stock, go online to their website right now, igotfloor.com.
Writer Kate Michaels has a new project and an enigmatic new collaborator.
There's been murders in my neighborhood.
Sometimes there's a thin line between fact and fiction.
Who is it, FBI?
Please help, ma'am. Can you give me your address?
Kate Mara and Adam Scott in Ghostwriter, a new one-episode feature-length podcast movie experience from C13 Features.
Ghostwriter is available now on the Odyssey app and wherever you find your podcasts.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, 314-946-9999. We buy houses direct. If you're thinking about selling, you're not sure where you're going to go, you can sign a contract with us. We are the buyer, and we can provide a flexible closing date for you. Once we've written a contract, we can actually adjust the closing date if you need to move it up or you need to move it back. A lot of people aren't sure where they're going to move next, and we can make it easy on you. ClaymanGroup.com, 314-946-9999, 946, all nines.
Selling your home's a huge deal. You want to sell it fast and for the highest price with zero hassles, right? Mark Cox here. That's why I always recommend Gloria Liu with GL International Realty and the Coldwell Banker Premier Group. Gloria continues to change the real estate game with multiple cash offers for her sellers. Above market bids, with multiple cash offers in less than 24 hours, and she makes the process so easy. Gloria eliminates the hassles with no showings, while you pick the closing date. Check this out. Andrew wrote, Gloria sold my home quickly, above market value, to an all-cash buyer, no hassles, delays, or problems. With Gloria Lou, two things are always guaranteed: your home sale and your price. Call Gloria today and get your cash offer at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Let's start off a new year with a new coat of paint. This is Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, and let's make 2022 the year you transform your home or business with some new colors and expert professional painting. CertaPro can make it happen, and the quality of the work will blow you away. One of my favorite parts of hiring CertaPro is I don't have to do the painting myself. These are professional painters. They can help you bring your vision of color to life. Get started today with a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters.
We're going to dance. We're going to dance. We're going to dance and have some fun.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Really hard for me to interrupt the show that you're giving here.
Giving people a gun show is what I'm giving them. Boom, boom, pop, and lock.
It's really sad, people.
It's a smoke show. It's a smoke show.
It's a smoke show?
Well, have you ever seen the music video of that song?
I mean, probably. It's not the one on the treadmills.
I don't think so. I don't know what that is. No, this is a girl dressed in a skin-tight white outfit, and it's all fisheye, and she's doing what I was just doing. She's just dancing like that. She's singing. Yeah.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
The gun show is
So,
over.
yeah, gun show's
Put
over.
those away.
It's moving on to the next city. Meet us with us in Pittsburgh.
It's too easy. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for the folks who are watching with us online and commenting. Had a lot of good conversation there. We've been listening to Merrick Garland deliver the January 5th edition of acknowledgments of the January 6th events of last year and talking about what he has been doing. And I kind of been talking about this week specifically because I knew this date was going to be upon us, and just reflecting back on a year ago, the mental state of the country, or specifically the mental state of me. When you stop and think about, are you happy? It's almost like I feel like the best you can get is, I'm doing fine. I'm doing all right.
I hear you.
It's hard to be, it's great. Everything is great because COVID, politics, news, the polarization of everything, I think has us significantly down. And I think we're still in the fight or flight mode that we haven't been able to assess how not normal it is right now.
Well, polling would support your feelings, Annie, because
those polls,
the number of people that think we're headed in the right direction right now, about 17%. So you're not alone, and it's not a partisan issue at this point. It's national issues that are, some of which are in our control, some of which are not, that are weighing people down. You know, these are things that we shouldn't have to be thinking about all the time. And we are. We're thinking about them all the time. And you said this, I think it was yesterday, the analogy, I said, that is a great analogy to where I think most people feel right now. And in light of national events, because maybe personally in the last year, you've had a good year or you've had a bad year. But my point is that national events are affecting you personally more than they ever have.
And maybe more than they should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what you said was this, it feels like that moment that 30 seconds after you almost got in an accident where you're still all tensed up and you're going, am I actually safe? I don't know. I don't feel safe yet. Something major just happened. And I feel like, and this is where I said, yeah, I have some thoughts on that President Biden ran on that feeling. He said, I understand where you're at, and it's Trump's fault that you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the last year is indicative of that. Last 4 years is indicative of that. So I am going to be the one that's going to be to come along and tell you it's okay. Get out of the car. You can take off your seatbelt. It's okay.
I'm going to shut down the virus. It's a 3-syllable word.
Yes.
And he said it over and over and over again.
He did. And he's on record saying that, and he's done the exact opposite of that. He's really, I think, due to both incompetence and partisanship, made things more tense, worse, in lots of really just, again, nonpartisan, numbers-based ways. Consider the economy, consider inflation and things. That's primarily due to government. That's the government in action causing problems in your pocketbook that you got to deal with every day right now. So that the analogy is great. And I'll end on this saying that I won't be popular for saying this. We as conservatives, a lot of times say that we are the party of reason and that they're the party of emotion, but we're also not exempt from emotion.
And they're not exempt from reason.
They're not exempt from reason. I don't think that's a bad kind of stereotype. I think there's truth in that. But I also think that we then embrace that so much that we actually never talk about the way you feel about things. Never, because we're like, no, we're reasonable. We're the reason people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
listen to President Biden speaking at his inauguration.
In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward.
He's not supposed to be funny, but he sounds like Bane.
He does sound like Bane from
Chaos.
Batman. Only chaos.
He says something before that sounds a little bit like Bane, and then
As
he
neighbors,
really
we can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos.
Can you imagine if they redid The Dark Knight with Joe Biden as Bane?
I would like to see Bane just mouth that speech. Not even re-say it.
Would it be terrifying?
Yes.
Bane is super terrifying.
Yeah, he's a weird dude.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it's The Dark Knight, the third one, right? Bane is the third one.
Is it? I
Yeah.
don't remember which one it was. It was the Christian Bale ones, though.
It was the last one of the Dark Knight
There's
trilogy.
Okay.
3 of them.
Okay.
Have you not seen them?
I've seen all of them, but I just don't remember which number it was.
They're really good.
I agree. We're not fighting.
Kind of feels like we are.
We're not.
Who wins?
I don't know.
Brad wins.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
When you listen to those words that he's saying, who doesn't agree with those words? They're all good and right words. You believe it?
Do you think that actions speak louder than words?
It's hard to tell. I haven't seen any action yet. No.
Oh, well, no, you have. You've seen inaction as action.
Inaction is action.
And action in spending is action. That drives the amount of inflation that we could have avoided is amazing based on the way that we've spent over the last couple of years. Some of it was unavoidable. Some of it was absolutely avoidable. But what he just did, what you just highlighted, that President Biden did, was he said one thing, and then he's done the exact opposite of that. That's what Garland just did. You come out and you say in your opening, here's what we all agree on, right? And it makes everybody go, oh, of course. You're not saying anything I disagree with now.
It's hard to disagree with the words.
And then you come out and you say, and now that you agree with me, I'm going to go after white supremacy and voting rights, which voting rights, especially right now, that is just what's going on in Congress. That's not the DOJ. That's you. Fine, do laws, but that's the legislature. That's not your job as the attorney general.
We have a lot of problems in our country right now. And anywhere that white supremacy exists, it's a problem. Period. Full stop. Is it affecting, is white, do you have white supremacists in your life, Ryan? Do you know people in your life who advocate for the racial supremacy of one race over the other?
No, I don't know that I've ever met somebody like that. Actually, there's one guy I met at a diner in Alabama once, no kidding, who just openly was saying racist things. And but it stuck. Here's the thing. That was 15 years ago.
How awful did it make you feel to hear it?
It was like, whoa, this is really weird.
Gross.
And I remember it's the only time in my whole life I've ever heard that. And it stands out that much because of that. Now,
case in point.
Exactly. And that's
the rarity of it. And it's not to say it doesn't exist. It's not to say that from where I'm standing right now, I couldn't walk a mile in any direction and find somebody who hates somebody else based on their color of the skin. That exists. I understand that exists. They almost advocate for taking something that isn't infecting our lives the way they imply that it's infecting our lives. And they're stoking fire in places where fire doesn't exist. They're setting fires that they can come serve as the firefighter, the arsonist, and the firefighter, and put out this issue. And in the middle of it, they're making white people and non-white people look at each other like there's an assumption that exists. That doesn't exist. That's not helpful. It is not President Biden unifying. You are doing nothing. There is not a single thing that this administration has done to this point in time at 2:40 p.m. Central Standard Time that he has come out and done to purposely make us a more unified country. And there are not enough hours in the day for Ryan and for myself to list to you the things that he has done that knowingly are divisive, because division breeds political power and they capitalize on it. And then they use it as currency to purchase the next election. I'm really, really tired of the words. I'm really, really tired of the inaction. And I'm really, really sick and tired of hearing people like Merrick Garland, which, by the way, Brad pointed this out as a good reminder, could have been on the Supreme Court. Whew! Missed it by that much. That listening to words where he talks about people being isolated for their beliefs or, attacked or aggressed or whatever it is, that's happening on both sides. The difference is the people who are in charge right now are isolating people like me and potentially people like you because we don't think, air quotes, the right way because you don't approve of how we believe. We just have differences in policy thoughts and opinions and how what are priorities in my life versus what are priorities in your life. Isolation is happening all over the place. Division by design is happening all over the place and has been happening since probably forever. But going into the mid-2000s, massive division being stoked by political parties for the purpose of political power. You see it and I see it, and I'm kind of sick and tired of it. And listening to the Attorney General talk about, trying to curb violence and, protect the people who are serving their country. There's a lot of law enforcement right now. Oh my gosh. I don't even have time for this, but I'm going into it anyway. You know about that law? You know a lot about those 2 police officers in Northern Illinois? Gunned down.
Yes.
She's begging for her life. She says, please, you don't have to do this. Please don't. She's begging for her life. You could probably assume that her hands were up and she was saying, don't shoot. That really happened. Shot her dead. Where's the protest? Where are the signs? Where are the people who are outraged that this is happening? People are going after a blue uniform and they're stoking it. The Attorney General of the United States, who should be the guy who is endorsing these people and their safety. Where's that speech? I would like to know.
No, instead, all we get is white supremacy.
White supremacy.
That's the point. That's the point we're making, is that they want it to exist because it gives them power. It consolidates power to themselves, and they continue to expand the definition of what white supremacy is because they need more of it to retain that power.
My heart's beating really fast right now. You know what we need? Grooves in the heart and some more dancing. Can you take it down here?
Now I'm upset too. Yeah, I can dance, but it's angry.
The groove is still in the heart, but your face. What's better than?
Do my best.
I could do a whole hour on that, but my blood pressure is up right now.
No, I'm sorry. I know. We're going to break, but that is a great point. That is a fantastic point because I've seen a little bit about that. That should be a major news story. Somebody has been assassinated for wearing the uniform. Point blank.
Yeah.
And
read the story. Look at the races of the individuals. I'm not going to say them here because the races shouldn't matter. They either matter or they don't. Ryan.
All right.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Thursday morning, we're going to do some explaining. My on-the-scene reports from Washington, D.C. 1 year ago Thursday, because I was there. I witnessed it with my own two eyes. Got some splaining to do.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
So Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group, we've got an event coming up, and I'm super excited because I'm going to be there. And I'm hoping that you will too, so that I can meet you. It's Tuesday, January 25th, and you are going to sign up. You got to reserve your spot. That's the key here. First of all, if you're a little wary about Omicron and all that stuff going around, they get the biggest room that the Plaza Frontenac has, socially distanced, and you're going to get to go there. You're going to get to meet me and Mark Cox and Mark Reardon, but I get to meet you as well, and you get to hear a short little spiel from Thomas Helbig about how you can protect your retirement. It's free. And like I said, this is important to me. And when I talked to him about doing this initially, it was important to me that this wasn't like some big, long, drawn out thing. It's not. It's like 30 or 45 minutes of his seminar telling you how he can help you make sure that retirement is going to work hard for you. You got to reserve your spot, though. You can do so, again, Tuesday, January 25th. And it is at the Plaza Frontenac Hilton. And I lost the phone number here. I'm going to give it to you when we come back into the segment of how you can reserve your spot, but you can go to retirementkey.com as well. Tuesday, January 25th at the Plaza Frontenac Hilton, 6:30 p.m. Retirementkey.com to reserve your space.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money. Easy to learn, easy to use, small business software tailored just for you. With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Depends on how long the time is left for you. I've had the highest mountains
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you. It's kind of been a whirlwind of a day, I feel like. A lot going on in a short amount of time. We've got Ryan Wiggins in here. I'm going to ask Hannah. Hopefully she's listening out there. Hannah, need you to come in here. We're going to talk about you in front of you instead of behind your back or behind that studio door. If you were listening, just before, a reminder that on January 25th, I am going to be with Thomas Helbig at the Plaza Frontenac Hilton, 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 25th, for a Protecting Your Retirement educational event. Here's the phone number to reserve your spot: 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. Come see me. I would love to see you. It's a great event. All right, Ryan, Hannah.
So we're going to talk about Hannah in front of Hannah, but that doesn't mean that Hannah can defend herself, right?
No, that's not the rule.
Okay. That's what I was asking.
So Hannah's new producer here with the Annie Frey Show, and Hannah created her Twitter profile yesterday.
Yes, I did, and thanks to Annie, I think we're almost at 300. I think it's like 298
followers.
Yes, 298 followers
At one Hannah Gibbs.
Yes.
Okay, so if you follow at Annie Frey Show, I tweeted it out. You can find it there, or you can go at one Hannah Gibbs. I have a challenge for the Annie Frey Show listeners. Ryan, would you like to hear what it is?
No. Go ahead.
Brad, would you like to hear what it is?
I would like to hear what it is.
I think we should see if we can get Hannah more Twitter followers than at Wiggins America on Twitter.
Oh,
I think it's a good throwdown.
That's the problem with that, is that it's very possible.
Ryan.
Because I have had a pretty active Twitter game for quite a while. And here's what's weird. The follows have been slow to come by, and I don't know why. But in the last week, ever since
Jack Dorsey, he knows you.
No, ever since Getter became a thing, I think I've been unthrottled because I'm getting all kinds of.
I feel the same way.
Okay, good. Because I thought I was crazy.
Are you talking about follows? Because I feel like I've gotten more follows in the past week.
Because we've been labeled conservatives and we've been unthrottled now
Please
because of that.
comment on the live stream if you've experienced the same thing. Because I was going to ask that, but then I knew if I asked you that on the air, you'd crap all over it. I've been getting a lot of new followers
No,
lately. Have you?
I have a ton.
That's so bizarre.
I bet I'll get more.
Get out of here.
The gauntlet has been laid down.
Are you
Here's the
competitive,
problem.
Ryan?
Yes, you're going to have more. I don't even deny that.
So I tweeted out.
He only has a 700 follower.
No, that's not true. I got 1,100.
I tweeted out yesterday, Hannah, she had
700
made
follower
this
lead.
account and she followed me. So that's how I knew she made it. And I'm like, it's Hannah. She's got a beautiful picture up there on Twitter. And so I tweeted the picture and her account, and Ryan retweets and said, this is my burner account. And I busted out laughing at a grade school basketball practice that I was supposed to, and I just sat there on the sideline and giggled for 5 minutes because it made me laugh every single time.
It was my way of trying to bring her down because I figure if people think that I was just posting a random girl picture from the internet and they thought,
Are you
this
saying
is
Hannah's
actually
picture is a random girl picture from the internet?
No, but if they thought that it was, then they would be like, oh, this is just more Wiggins and not follow her. So it was my way of anticipating that this was going to happen. This whole competition thing was going to happen and getting ahead of it.
At Wiggins America.
Don't just shout him out.
No, and that's not even the right handle.
It isn't?
It's at no.
Go follow him. You better grab that one.
I tried to grab that handle, and somebody at some point
has
Wiggins America that doesn't use it.
So then it's not your Wiggins America.
No.
Your show should be called His Wiggins America.
That's actually my burner account.
Is his Wiggins America?
Yes.
Man, find a random picture of me on the internet at least, just not some random guy. Okay. No, it's at Radio Wiggins.
I'm sorry. At Radio Wiggins.
Because that was what was available. Yeah. So you can follow me just like Patrick Uhemperher just did.
He follows me on Twitter. At the number one, Hannah, 2 H's, HANNAH.
Yes.
Gibbs, 2 B's.
2 B's. Yes.
So I will tweet out both of their handles. I'll throw Brad's in there as well so you can follow them. But let's see if we can pump Hannah.
I'm excited.
So if Hannah passes Ryan, because Ryan has one less than 1,100,
she should get to do Wiggins America one day.
She's going to pass me because I only have 840 followers.
Unbelievable.
She should be able to do Wiggins America one
I
day.
agree with that wholeheartedly.
Is it still called Wiggins America when she does it? Yeah, I think
it's called Wiggins America.
You got to bring something hard hitting though.
Like
you can't
real
do
Wiggins
my
America.
Trading Spaces story. You got to bring in something about
It's
Mike
gonna be all about
Pompeo and
vaccinations.
China or something like that. You got to do something real hard.
I might do something about golden doodles.
No.
You're
Unless
gonna
it gets me a golden
Somebody
doodle.
messaged the Annie Fry Facebook page and said you should get an Aussie doodle.
Ooh.
I don't believe in the politics of Australia right now, so I will not do that.
My dog's an Australian Shepherd.
Not a big fan of your dog. I think
She
your
ate
dog
my
is
pie.
oppressive.
What were you gonna say,
So you
Brad?
probably don't want a Labradoodle either because you don't believe in the politics of Canada.
Ooh, is Lab Canada? I mean, how is that
It's a
related?
Canadian
That's
province.
a deep cut in the dog world.
Labrador is a Canadian province? Really?
Yeah.
I had
Well,
no
Chihuahua
idea.
is a Mexican province.
Yeah,
Do you know that?
I just
How
got
do you feel about Mexican politics?
I don't know that much.
I'm getting followed by German people. AfD Gelsenkirchen. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I wonder if some of these people are fake people. Because
So let's just hypothesize here. Conservatives have been throttled. I don't think that's a surprise. After the election, I think I lost like almost 3,000 followers.
I lose them as fast as I get them.
So some sort of tag on your account, my account, gets pulled off right when Getter becomes famous. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm getting all these followers on Twitter. I think I'll stay."
Exactly. That's
Is
the point.
Is it that simple?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely that simple because the same thing happened after Trump lost. Or I'm sorry, Trump was kicked off of Twitter. A whole bunch of people said, "We're going to leave." And then I was posting stuff that was getting hundreds of likes all of a sudden out of nowhere. And I thought, "Well, this is neat. I wonder if this is just because I'm writing stuff that's really hitting with the people now." No.
That wasn't it?
Not at all. And the same thing's happening now. Except it's follows. Last time they did it with likes, where a lot more people were seeing your stuff. This time, a lot more people, I guess, are following you. So I don't know what the algorithm is that they're choosing to do that, but it's funny that each one of us said the same thing.
So Hannah has 305 right now.
Ooh, that shot up already.
Ryan, what do
Better
you
watch out, Ryan.
I think I've
at
had one.
Radio Wiggins.
At Radio Wiggins. Let's see what we've got here.
Support
1,100 exactly.
Just wait till they take that throttle off.
Well, this is what it looks like when the throttle is off. So that's not great.
You know, I posted something. I posted that. Are we 5650?
Mm-hmm.
I posted the criticism that we got the other day on Facebook. I was reading through a lot of the comments there, and I appreciate everybody who's been giving their feedback. Something else I posted was the BND put out an article that said 85% of hospitalizations are unvaccinated. So I always take those articles and I just say 15%. I write the exact same headline, the other percentage of the number, and say these are the people in the hospital who are vaccinated. And somebody brought up a really good question. We need to make sure that we know what the definition of vaccinated is, because in some healthcare industries, not necessarily those reports, and I don't know, and I've actively pursued finding out the definition of this. In some healthcare situations, you are no longer considered vaccinated if you are not up to date vaccinated.
Yeah. So if you're not 3 in.
Yes. So I encourage you to scoop out what is going on there as we continue to hear these stories being reported, because that's a huge difference. Because if you're using that headline to encourage people to get vaccinated, and in the 85% of the unvaccinated people are people who had vaccines like in January of 2020, so they've been vaccinated.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Not what a vaccine is.
Just so you know, if you follow me on Twitter, I put great stuff up there all the time. Like right now, my top story is from The Hill. Scientists say COVID in deer could be an issue. And I said, vaccinate all the deer then. Any resistant deer, take away their jobs. It's funny. It's relevant. It's political. You're going to have a great time.
If this doesn't work out for you, you should go into sales for something. Maybe.
Not for this place.
Maybe wildlife.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for sticking around. The Mark Reardon Show is going to be here in just a minute, so stick around for that. Stream us live on the Odyssey app, and we hand it right off to Mark Reardon. Don't go away.
Home warranty. I know, right? Buying coverage for appliances, your heater and AC, etc., from a company that hopes you never ever have a claim or call. Let me introduce you to a real home warranty company, the kind that actually wants to help you. Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. Upkeep visits